there, folks. This is your host, Doc Dino. We were going to have a different stream tonight, but hey, might as well make a hangout or something, you know? Might as well make something of tonight. So I'll just be playing some Kerbal Space Program here, and if anyone wants to hop in, talk dinos or evolution, anything else, feel free. Have a nice, calm stream. So, how are you, Andrew?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for letting me join. How about you?
Not terrible. Drove like 8 hours today, so happy to be home.
That's always nice. I can
Yeah.
relate. I drove to Arizona one time, and I was happy to be home later in the day. So
Never driven that far. Like for my day job, I drive a bus, so it's round and round in circles for like 4 hours.
oh, okay. Well, it's better than some things, I guess.
That's fair. So, yeah. Sorry, words. It's been a long day.
Yeah, that. I get that. Yeah.
No hablo inglés. What do you want to hop on and talk about?
Well, I guess kind of start things off with. By the way, is my audio okay so far? I always like to check before I start a long conversation.
Yeah, you sound fine to me. How do I sound?
You sound okay.
All
I
right.
don't know if anyone's watching yet, so I can't confirm from the audience.
According to the StreamYards, we have 2 viewers.
Oh, nice.
So whole crowd
Maybe
listening.
Grayson will show up. That'll be nice.
Yeah, it'd be neat.
I was surprised again that you guys, what was his name, Jim Bob, yesterday instead of do you think you would have preferred Dr. Faulkner over that guy after the fact?
Well, I might have by the end, but Grayson came into the lobby with that video. Actually, he said, "Hey, this will probably be more entertaining. Want to watch this instead?" And
I guess it was entertaining in its own way.
That's one of the words you could use to describe it.
So I also saw you hopped onto the SFT stream last night. I guess, did you have any general thoughts on how that went for you?
I mean, wish I could have had more of an engaging conversation, but sometimes that's a little too much to ask for, sadly.
Well, yeah, it seemed like you kind of joined near the tail end of it, right?
Yeah, the stream, well, it didn't exactly go long. It was a short stream, but
yeah,
went long enough that we got there towards the tail end. So Grayson and I got to
5 hours for
with,
SFT is kind of the norm.
True. But Grayson and I did get to argue with T-Rock.
Oh yeah, that was
the side chat. That was fun.
And
on the stream too.
Yeah, I was like, he when he was talking about the magnetic field decay argument, I'm like, he honestly can't be this dense, right? Like, he knows better, right? Like,
no, it's T-Rock. He can't be that dense. I learned to stop doubting it a while ago.
At what point did that happen for you?
I don't know if I can pick a specific point. I just know it happened pretty quick.
It's weird because, like, I mean, I don't want to shade him right now. He isn't here to defend himself, but like, it's weird how they call. He's one of the geology folks over at SFT, like the followers there look to him for geology arguments related things. So the fact that he's not only gotten so many things wrong on biology and paleontology, but also basic geology kind of strikes me as odd.
Yeah. I mean, it's just every interaction with him has reduced my expectations
That's fair.
that he knows anything about what he's talking about. And you're right, kind of probably shouldn't badmouth him too much while he's not here, but that's been my impression.
Yeah. Well, like my interactions with him like have been engaging and entertaining up to a point, but like it's almost as if as conversation progresses, he tends to get more or sound more vitriolic. You know what I mean? Like he
For
gets more
me, he
combative.
for me he starts sounding condescending
Yeah,
when
that too.
explaining
Yeah,
stuff after a bit, and it shouldn't get to me. I try not to let it get to me, but it gets to me.
yeah. I don't know. It's weird how some people like being condescending. Like, oh, it's probably different for you than it is for me. But like some people like just really get me on the wrong end of things, like, and other people like with the same kind of behavior. I'm like, okay, I don't really care, to be honest. But like it's weird how that happens, you know. Different
Yeah.
people trigger different things, I guess.
And I mean, if anyone ever thinks I sound condescending, I apologize. I do not intend. I rarely intend to. I should say there are times where it's called for, but I don't try to. I don't. I
Yeah,
don't try to talk down to people. Though sometimes teacher voice does come out because I've TA'd a bunch.
yeah. I think I'm probably less experienced with that than you are, but I try, like you said, to educate people more than anything. But like once I realize it's a lost cause, I just have fun with it at that point.
That's fair. Unless it's with a few people, I will always try personally.
To educate them more so.
Yeah, like, I've given up on Kent, but to
Oh
be
yeah,
fair, everyone's given up on Kent. Even
he's
the IRS has probably given up on Kent at this point.
yeah he's just a terrible person all around right now. So I don't really lend much to him.
And right now, you say that like he hasn't been for a long time.
That's that's a fair point. Yeah. Uh, I know I mentioned, well, I wish I could have gone on a longer exchange with him in SFT stream yesterday about cosmology. That's kind of what I really wanted to go in there to talk about after they were talking about the Big Bang and etc.
Hmm.
Because like he's of course been over the common design and uh, can't change one kind to another kind of shtick over and over again. So I want to try something different. Uh,
Yeah.
and I guess I already mentioned this, but at least I got him to admit he doesn't actually know what the CMB is. The only thing he was able to talk about was like, what's a wave and what do waves do and stuff like that. But he couldn't really go into any more depth than that. So if that's any indication, well, among other things, if that's any indication that he doesn't know what he's talking about cosmology wise or even astronomy wise, I hope that goes somewhere.
Well, I'm sure it'll reach some people. Maybe not the most dedicated fans, but
Oh yeah.
some people. And
Well,
sometimes
I'm
that's
just
all you can
hoping
really hope to do.
someone will hear that and just find it amusing in some way. That's all I'm really
Yeah.
hoping for at this point.
I mean, hey, being funny is underrated sometimes.
I don't think I'm that. I don't think I'm a funny person most of the time. So I try to be, but
I mean, like, dry humor can be pretty funny.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like I could do better. And uh, I guess well, I know it isn't really your area of study that much, but like, do you have any specific thoughts on cosmology or the Big Bang overall offhand?
I mean, I don't know much about it, honestly. I think it probably happened based on the evidence that's been presented to me, but I
Okay.
am in no way an expert.
Do you have any questions about specific things that maybe I could help with in my own layperson understanding of it?
Um, Honestly, gonna this might sound a bit odd. I'm not super interested in learning about the Big Bang, honestly. Like it might
That's fair.
sound
Yeah.
weird, but it's just not something I'm super interested in. And that's nothing against you. I don't want it to sound like
Oh
that.
no,
It's
no,
just
yeah, I
it's
totally
not a topic
understand.
that
Like I'm not like super
clicks well.
interested in like chemistry, for example. So I get what you're
Yeah,
coming at. Like some
like
people I know are more interested in like biochemistry, for example, or organic chemistry, and that really doesn't flow well with me.
yeah,
Just not interested in that.
doesn't do nothing. Like people can do cool stuff with it, but
Yeah.
like
Sorry for any background noise, by the way. I have my dogs with me right now, and they always want attention.
you're fine. You're fine. Uh,
And I
I
never know
don't think I'll have
how
any
much noise
background
goes through
noise.
my mic.
It's okay. Like this isn't like a serious stream, if that makes any sense or
Oh
anything.
yeah,
Like
I know. I just
that,
I
yeah,
always like to be courteous about that.
that's fair. That's fair. Hmm.
So I guess going back to the conversation you had with T Rock with Grayson, uh, I know you were talking about Tiktaalik at one point as far as evolution and predictions and whatnot. Uh,
Yeah.
I guess before we go into any deeper on that, do you have any general thoughts on that?
Um. I mean, I think Tiktaalik is pretty cool. I'm glad we found it, and like honestly, I'm real proud of how far the field of paleontology has come. That we can make
Oh,
exact predictions like that, and they come true.
like it like looking more and more into it and hearing some people, well, mostly creationists, say, "Well, there are no transitional fossils," and or actually, that's another thing. It was really weird going in a side chat uh, on the stream yesterday, and how it's almost as if to try and avoid how many transitional fossils we have discovered, they try to redefine what transition means. So, like, you probably saw this with what T Rock was saying about Tiktaalik. Like, they try to redefine it as the direct ancestor, or as, or like this one particularly doesn't make any sense to me. Like something transitioning into something else, like shown from the fossils. Like, I don't quite understand what they mean by that.
Yeah, I
Like,
think
what are
that's
they
a
looking?
Kentism. Like he's been
Yeah,
saying crap like that for years.
that's fair. Yeah,
Oh,
we know there are a lot of Hovendites out there.
a lot, sadly. Oh, and I do want to say, if you want to hop in, Beck, feel free. This is an
Hey, Beck.
open stream. What is your favorite transitional fossil, if you
Oh,
have one?
that's a hard. I have a few that come to mind. Like one that I. Oh, there's your dog. uh, one that comes to mind because I was talking about it in the chat yesterday. Uh, what was a Canfustiga, and
Sorry, girlfriend is blowing her nose in the background.
that's no problem.
Acanthostega is pretty neat. And
I,
honest,
I always find it interesting because it has limbs and it has gills, and like
Mhm.
whether or not this was the actual ancestral condition to tetrapods, given like they mentioned that we now have earlier tetrapod footprints. But like it had limbs, but the articulation was such that it couldn't actually support itself on land. So it must have been aquatic. And it has limbs with fingers and digits and wrists and whatnot. So I always find that interesting.
Well, I mean, like hands can be used for a lot of things besides just supporting yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it does bring up like actual interesting paleontological questions like, okay, if we had if those trachoids were made by tetrapods and they were around in the early middle Devonian, then could it be that some tetrapods kind of secondarily became aquatic? Right? Like
I
did some
mean,
of them
like we
just
know
like
it's
fill out
happened
that
at least a
niche?
few times.
Yeah. So that would kind of be an interesting thing. If we can ever find more fossils, that would be something interesting to test.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down to find out about that.
I'm sure they already have fossils that are uh, uh, getting closer and closer to that conclusion, but I know some of them haven't been studied as much. So
Yeah, like unfortunately, there's a lot of fossils just sitting in museum shelving.
yeah, that's unfortunate. There's not enough people working on it, and or well, not enough time to work on all of them because we have so many and they're so
Yeah,
detailed.
places like the American Museum of Natural History are infamous for that. That's partly just because they've had so many expeditions all over the world.
Oh yeah, it's like I can't remember the average time it takes for a paper to go through peer review, especially in paleontology. I know it's at
Uh,
least maybe a year or two.
Depends on the subject and how much attention it's gotten.
That's true. Yeah.
It's really variable. I hope I gave this thing enough fuel.
Oh, spacecraft.
Eh, I like Kerbal Space Program. It's fun.
I like the space aspect of it. I don't know if I could engineer something like that.
Well, it's a lot of trial and error, and it's all about making things explode in the right way.
Oh, so you actually do want them to explode?
I mean, that's what a rocket does.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So, or I just thought you were sending them to somewhere else. Or
well, it's just like that's what rockets do. That's how they propel themselves. They control their explosions.
oh, I know. I was just confused. Where is it going exactly? Is it just like orbiting?
You mean the spacecraft I'm doing?
Yeah.
Oh, so I have contracts to so like there's contracts you do in Kerbal that give
Oh,
you money, and
interstellar
I have
contracts.
yeah, and I have two right now. One is to create a new space station around one of the moons, and the other is to gather a bunch of ore from that same moon. So
Hmm.
I'm launching one craft to do both tasks and hopefully save some money while making a lot
It's a
for
kind
my
of real
small
life
program.
asteroid mining, except it's with the moon.
Yeah. I mean, the moon is tiny. It's practically an asteroid.
Yeah. Although I'm guessing this isn't Earth. This looks something else.
The planet's called Kerbal, but it is basically Earth.
No, it, random thing, but like, why'd they come up with that name? It sounds too much like Kirby.
I
Is that
have
just me?
I actually have no idea.
maybe it just sounds cool.
Let's see.
Yeah, sounds cool to
According
shout
to
at Kerbal.
Google, one of the creators of Kerbal used to make like little tin figurines for fireworks when he was a teenager, and he called them Kerbals. So years later,
Interesting.
he decided, oh, you know what? I'll make these things in my game called Kerbals.
Very interesting.
So they were always meant to die and explode.
Yeah, seems like that. Oh, hey, Caden, if you want to hop on, feel
Hey,
free. Hey,
and Tiny Pink Penguin. That's a cool name.
hey, that's a fun name.
Alliteration is always fun.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Come on.
That's
Just a
getting
little
more and
more
more
fuel and bang. Oh, maybe a little less fuel.
I had this, well, one of the strangest interactions I've had recently is with a person who apparently doesn't think outer space is real, or that
Oh, yeah.
stars and galaxies are that far away. I don't know. I know there are people out there like that, and that other people have interacted with them and argued with them, but like this was the first time for me, and it was just so strange. They're like just the wackiest arguments.
Are they like a flat earther or just
I'm presuming
unknowing
so.
of science?
I, I I think probably in a lot of areas, judging by what they were saying.
Come on, guys, let's go for a walk.
Stuff happens. People are very weird creatures.
Oh yeah. I guess, do you think it's because people want to feel like they're the Galileo of the group, you know what I mean? Or that they're like, why do these ideas stick around? Especially something like flat Earth.
That's probably part of it, honestly, but I can't say for sure.
That's
Like,
fair.
people are really complicated, and sometimes they just get an idea in their head that they refuse to let go of.
Oh, yeah, it's probably for religious reasons too, since most of them are biblical creationists.
Sadly, yeah, it's probably a big part of it.
And and it gets funny because young Earth creationists don't like to associate with them.
Well, I don't know. There are a lot of flat Earth, young Earth creationists.
Yeah, that's I guess people on standing for truth maybe then.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see Donnie host a flat Earth debate and have to use science. I might actually pay to see that, honestly.
No, what?
I didn't say pay him.
Don't care. No.
You're no fun.
Just save some money. Foolish things.
Well, let's see. Is anything else you're interested in chatting about? Oh, he is muted. That is fine. I am approaching the moon. The moon is green because Kerbals. Oh, that's why it's so slow. Oh, he shall be returned in a minute. Do-do-do-do. Oh, a little more speed. Turns out astrophysics can be tricky business. At least if you don't know what you're doing, which I barely do. And actually, I should probably there we go. Extend that antenna so I don't lose signal. And there's one of the contracts. Now the other one is the tough bit. So first, I can draw an overlay of the planet to try and find good quantity of ore. So that's what I need.
Hey, sorry about that.
No problem. Stuff happens.
Did you get to the moon?
I did indeed. It is called Minmus. That's not
Minmus.
the right overlay.
Why is it a blue on it? Is that just highlighting something?
Yeah, it's a resource map.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. That is the moon. I need Minmus.
Not
There
to
we
distract you from your game, but like, do you happen to have any videos you'd like to review, or?
None that I can think of right now. Like, none that I can really think of. Like tonight, all I had planned was the talk with Attorney Anderson. Are there any
I was saying, I'm
videos?
just sure we
you'd
could
want me to
find
take a look
something
at?
on EID if you're willing.
I mean, maybe. I do try to save stuff like that for the Creation Science Theaters, though.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
Because, like, honestly, they give me such a metaphorical, I have to stress that, metaphorical headache that if I engage with that stuff too often, it just burns me out.
Fair enough, yeah.
Need the Midlands.
Are there any other subjects you'd be more willing to discuss if reviewing a video or something?
Maybe. What do you have in mind?
Not sure. That's why I was asking.
No.
So,
I do not know. If you can think of or find something, I'd be happy to take a look.
just not something creationist related.
I'd prefer not.
Okay.
Just moving fuel from one tank to another.
Do you have any sorry if this is out of left field, but like, do you have any opinions on climate change and climate denial and etc.?
It's happening, and there's really too much evidence to honestly deny that it's happening, which is sad. I don't want it to happen, but
right.
There doesn't really seem to be much we can do to stop it at this point, at least.
Does reacting to a video on that count within what you were talking about earlier, I'm guessing?
Well, it might cause a wee bit of pain. Do you got a link?
Let me see.
Just allow me to undock. Activate engine. There we go. Do. There it is, undock here. Tiny pink penguin. There is indeed undock. At least there's only one of me. I don't know. Do you have a degree, Andrew?
What was that?
Do you have a degree in anything? Just out of curiosity.
Uh, no, not really.
All right.
I'm supposed to receive my associates from college right now,
Oh, interesting.
and I'm
What for?
working up to university. Biology for
Oh,
transfer.
sweet. Anything you're specializing in?
I guess besides my interest in evolution specifically and fields related to that, not really just general biology.
Fair enough.
Kind of figuring as I move forward with university, I'll specialize a bit more.
Yeah, that happens.
Although
Honestly,
I have a few ideas on like specific organisms I'd like to study if I have funding.
that's fair. I mean, if you're open to a bit of advice, like just never be afraid to try a new research project or just
Sure.
try a research project. Like a lot of universities have lots of programs you can try.
Oh yeah,
And even if it's not something you'll want to do for the rest of your life, it's something that it'll probably teach you a lot of things.
right. Surprised no one else has shown up. That's unfortunate.
I mean, I'm not going to force them to.
Yeah.
If people want to join, they can join. If they don't want to, then hey, fair enough.
I was just saying because I can't think of anything else that I want to talk about. So I was hoping someone else was gonna show up. So no offense.
No. Why would I be offended? No, it's fine. I get it. Dear, I forgot the radiators.
Uh-oh.
Ah, man. I don't want to restart the mission.
Is that a critical part of it?
Yeah. So in space, no one can hear you scream, but also it's really hard to dissipate heat.
Right.
And if things get too hot, things start to melt or vaporize. And it's a problem. I have nothing to help dissipate heat on this craft.
Hmm. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so my options are either let this thing cook for like 100 years, restart, or try again with a new craft.
Hmm.
Which, sadly, that last bit is probably the best option. At least I got one contract out of the way. Oh.
It's a good thing that never happened with like the James Webb Space Telescope or something. That would have been awful.
Well, to be fair, they had people a lot smarter than me engineer that thing.
Or well,
I
they
also
were
threw
also
that-
double checking it and triple checking it and quadruple checking it.
Exactly. I slapped that thing together in like 30 minutes. As opposed to the probably actually decades of research
Yeah.
that the James Webb got.
It's also interesting the story of how they fixed the Hubble Space Telescope when it was first launched, and the images were all blurry.
Oh, I'm not sure I've heard that.
I'm probably gonna butcher this, but like, so if I remember correctly, when they were making the primary mirror for the telescope, the company that was supposed to kind of smooth it out, make sure there were no imperfections in it, one side of it was too smooth, but like a very, very small amount. Like I don't remember the exact amount, but it was like very thin, like microscopic. Uh, and because of that, because one side was too smooth compared to the other, it didn't focus right. And the first images uh, that they got in the what's called the first light event, when they opened the telescope mirror, uh, were pretty blurry, and are like, okay, either there were some magazine articles or stuff like saying, okay, either we've messed up the telescope, or maybe space is just really blurry already, which would be weird. And so that was kind of the laughing stock NASA thing for a little bit, until eventually I think, because I mean, like, the cost at least like $1 billion, I think. So it was a pretty expensive for the time. But eventually, one guy figured out a solution working at NASA, and they sent astronauts up there to implement this device that would kind of act like a corrective lens for the primary mirror, and also to kind of update some of the equipment that they had originally installed on there so that it would work even better than before. And thankfully it worked, and we got pristine Hubble images after that. So, and of course the several other Hubble maintenance missions until they discontinued the space shuttle program. But yeah, the time we almost messed up the Hubble Space Telescope, but fixed it. And I think it was the early 1990s. So I always found that an interesting story.
Yeah, it is neat.
Well, a crucial story.
You got-
Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten all those pretty images and all that scientific data.
Yeah, that would have been a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Also, you'll
Well,
never guess what I'm making right now.
another rocket.
Yeah, I'm just seeing how fast I can make it go, because why not?
Oh, okay. An interesting experiment.
I mean, gotta do something to try to entertain.
And look, oh, this is at NASA. That's cool. They have a NASA on
Huh?
another planet.
Oh, yeah. You play as the NASA, basically.
Hopefully, this doesn't cost $1 billion.
It's costing about 24,000.
Oh wow, it's getting really cheap now.
But, well, I mean, multiply that probably by at least 10 or 100.
Oh,
Probably really lowballing that. Well, let's give this a
Maybe
shot.
this isn't finished yet.
Or I don't know. Maybe maybe I should get
Just saying,
something more heat
add all the
resistant.
equipment necessary to make it go super fast, and even faster.
Well, I also want to, try and make sure it doesn't catch fire immediately.
Or disintegrate.
Yeah, so maybe a different nose cone.
Oh, that's
There we
kinda
go. An undeployed heat shield.
cool.
Oh, this is going to be bad. Let's
You
go.
can just swap out parts like that. That's kind of cool.
There's a lot of fun stuff in Kerbal. It's a really fun game, honestly. I'm hoping the sequel eventually gets better.
Where do you download it, if I may ask? Is it like on Steam or?
Yeah, I just got it on Steam.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear, it's Oh. That went somewhere.
Well, that's interesting to hear, Sydney Raptor. Thanks for sharing that. It's always IMAX
Ooh, cool.
science experiences are always nice.
Yeah, I haven't been to one, and I haven't been to an IMAX film in forever, actually.
Yeah, they've gotten pretty.
It's just been a
pretty
really long
interesting.
time since I've been in a theater.
Or these are probably theaters at like actual science museums and whatnot.
Probably.
But on the plus side, you get the bonus of a science film with an actual museum experience.
True.
Which is always nice.
Let's see, I think I'll have... Oh. And we have a Beamsy.
Hey, Beamsy.
Hello?
I thought that was Kerbal Space Program, not Kerbal telemetry problem.
I mean, it could be both. Sometimes your multi-billion-dollar rocket just flops on the launch pad.
And how are you doing
It's
anyway, Andrew?
happened.
Okay, I can't hear on that end.
Huh? Oh, can you not hear us? Oh dear.
No, I cannot hear you through this. It's through StreamYards.
Uh-oh.
That's odd. Can you hear me, Andrew?
I can hear
No,
you.
now I can. I fixed it.
Ah, okay, cool.
All right, then.
StreamYard is bizarre sometimes. Uh-oh.
Wow, that was something.
No,
Take
I like
three.
doing a complete system reset once a month, so it just completely cleared off all of my presets, so it's actually going through a different speaker.
Oh.
Oh, interesting.
No, it was the first thing I checked because I realized, okay, I did a reset this morning, so maybe it reset all the presets, and yes, it did.
All right, well, let's see how badly this explodes.
No, you got it the wrong way around. Let's see how well this explodes.
Well, apparently it didn't explode at all, so take two.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Lift up, lift up, lift. Yeah!
We lost
come
the
on.
propeller.
No, stabilizing fin.
Oh, right.
It has a few tiny stabilizing fins.
Don't listen to me. I don't know space aeronautic terms.
That's just
Well-
basic aerodynamics.
I don't know
Yeah.
aerodynamics either, so don't listen to me either way.
Don't mind me, my ICBM's just escaping a kilometer a second.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
It
that's
looks like it's
pretty
burning up
good.
though.
a little bit.
Oh, come on. We'll just follow the creation's idea of the heat problem. We'll just ignore the friction.
True. What if I inflate the heat shield?
That'll work. Oh. Oh. I don't think that was a good idea.
I'm just wondering how many G's that hit.
Is it just... Oh, now it's falling. Okay.
Yeah. It hit 58.6 G's.
Oh. I mean, that's pretty impressive by
correct me if
itself.
I'm wrong, but that would absolutely annihilate any living thing on board, right?
It would also destroy the majority of any sensitive equipment inside of it, but
Take 3 was a failure.
Hey, that I count that as a success.
An improvement.
Yeah, I guess I just forgot that this thing requires liquid hydrogen.
Oh. Do we have any other fuels?
Well, the problem is getting a tank that actually that no, that's not going to be near enough. Getting a tank that's still aerodynamic.
So while Doc is figuring out his rocket, do you have any thing on your mind, Beamsy? That you'd like to discuss?
I'm trying not to say what's in my head.
Oh, I
What's
know
in your
what's in your head right now.
And that's probably a good thing.
It is becoming lengthier, girthier.
Oh, dear.
Isn't it Kiki that's meant to be inspecting Doc's rocket? And she would be getting excited with this.
Hey, vey.
I just had to drag it in, didn't I?
Let's
who
try
you are.
with a different engine.
Hmm.
Here, I could give it a little propeller.
It's been interesting seeing what's been going around in the debate sphere and the creationist ideas lately.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Oh, they seem to be going much more. What's a nice way of putting it? Ballistic.
Oh dear,
Ballistic.
that bad?
How so?
It's just that they're getting more and more defensive in regards to what they're trying to actually portray. Have
Yeah,
you had
it looks
any
like it's-
dealings?
Yeah.
Have you had any dealings with the Proverbs guys?
No. Well, at least not a like actual stream in a bit. No.
Yeah, they're one of the few people who aren't actually use a Sky Daddy joke on just because it triggers them.
Hmm.
But they are just so dishonest.
Fun fact, the person I was talking to who didn't think outer space was real was on Proverbs, guys.
Oh, really?
Or, well, he was in the side chat anyway.
Got to work today time.
Take 4. Will making it longer help?
Oh, Jesus! No! Nope! Nope!
Nope.
Oh,
It
look
got
at the
nice
wings
collision
went flying. Maybe I should try firing it from the other hangar. That'd probably be easier. But I do remember a bit ago going on a Proverbs stream, and like they wouldn't engage with an oh, and it crashed.
Oh,
Whoops. They wouldn't engage with an example of evolution I had at all. I brought up how African elephants are changing in response to poaching pressures,
oh yeah.
and they just didn't engage with it at all.
It's funny how
And when
creationists accept elephants are the same kind, even though African and Asian species are more different from each other than chimps and humans genetically.
But also, mammoths are not elephants.
True.
We're in the same family, Elephantidae.
Yeah. But they put all Proboscidean under as one kind.
Yeah, which is a bit of a
Which-
problem for them.
A few problems.
Yes.
Some slight issues, I suppose.
No, they just don't get it. They don't understand how cladistics works.
Oh no, they don't.
No.
Well, we use Kent's example of, oh, are you related to a strawberry? Inconclusively, we are by ancestry, but we're not actually related to them because we're so far removed.
I mean, if you want to be absurdly reductive, yes, but it doesn't mean what you think it means, Kent.
Of course, he wants to go for the absurdity.
True.
I once had a creationist argue to me that we should actually find, if evolution were true, plantimals. So not just animals with plant-like features, or with that had consumed plants, like some sea slugs, or for example, like actual plantimals, half plant, half animal.
Oh, you mean like
Which is
fungus?
so bizarre.
Well, yes and no. Fungi are on the animal branch of eukaryote. Like, they're the closest thing to animals as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, that's stretching it for me a little bit.
Well, like, eukarya makes a couple, like, it splits into a few different branches all the way down at the base.
Oh yeah.
It's just that animals and fungi are closer to one another than either is to plants. Plants is the out.
Oh yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, like, if you, I didn't know if you were implying that like fungi could be considered a plantimal kind of thing in that way.
No.
Okay.
No, that was me.
Never mind.
Well, I mean, if you want to be incorrect, you could say that. There are
Right.
plants.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, I think me and a few others brought up, like I said, certain animals that had consumed algae or plants and incorporated them into their cellular systems. But he didn't say that we're plantimals for some reason.
And
Oh, it's Mr. Anderson.
real quick, hello, we do have a Mr. Anderson.
Hey, you guys, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
Oh, it's been quite the evening. Yeah, I had
Really?
a
You
had
were
a
dealing
client
with
over
the-
all on me.
I
No,
thought you were talking
not in
about
a
your
good way.
experience yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about your experience yesterday.
Oh, were you talking about my experience yesterday? That was fun.
It looked like you were suffering with it, but yeah.
Oh well, I mean, I think he suffered more than I did.
I mean, you can have fun and suffer at the same time. Masochism is a thing.
That's true. Yeah.
That's true in a twisted sort of way. Yeah.
He seemed to be
Also,
getting
don't
a bit
mind me. I
more
like
and
to
more
have
flustered as the conversation
I like to
progressed.
have games on in the background, and I guess I'm going with some Elden Ring because why not?
Oh, this is Elden Ring.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so. Yeah. It was interesting, right? Because at the start, he was super, super resistant to admitting anything. And you may have noticed that he didn't even want to admit that the molecular clock existed. Because, I mean, Donnie's been there for, most, if not all, of my cross-examinations, right? And he knows how these things go, and he knows that, you start giving an inch, and then I keep, ratcheting up the pressure on you, right? So,
I mean, you are a lawyer.
well,
It's kind of your job.
well, yeah, that's true, and there's it's interesting, right? Like, the reason that I like doing these sorts of things is like I enjoy the science. Don't get me wrong, but like the reason I like it is because like there isn't really any legitimate defense from a who's right and who's wrong perspective on these things, right? It's really more of a question of can you force the admission, right? It's like we all know that the Earth's not 6,000 years old. They know that too,
Right.
but they're not going to admit it, and so it's and they're wily, right? Like especially. I'm sorry about this cough, guys.
You're fine.
Especially some of the better guys like Donnie or T-Rock or I mean Kent
T-Rock?
Hovind is T-Rock. I mean T-Rock is good at well, I don't know. T-Rock's sometimes he's not bad, at least at dodging, right? At obfuscating.
Oh, yeah. So you're talking about good as in being wily.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good in terms of they have a skill set in terms of being able to dodge questions, right? And like one of the things that I remember seeing a stream between Gutsy Gibbon and Aaron Raw, and they were talking about like how frustrating it is to engage with these people because as scientists, they're used to engaging with people who are going in good faith and either like genuinely don't understand or genuinely have a difference of opinion, right? And and want to learn, and if they realize they're wrong, they'll admit it. And talking to somebody who like fundamentally that is not what is going on, and they don't care whether they're wrong or not. This is about proving a point that they've decided the conclusion at the start, and they're going to twist any fact or any theory to fit that. Like from a scientific perspective, debating with that person is extremely frustrating and not something that you're trained for. It's like it's a skill that can be learned. Guys like Doc, and Gutsy Gibbon and Dr. Dan and stuff like they've learned that skill, but it's not part of their training, right?
I mean,
it's something they've kind of picked up.
I do this as like mostly just a hobby at this point, as like an extension of wanting to do scientific outreach, and I feel it's important to confront people who misuse science.
Oh, for sure, and I applaud you for it. And the distinction I think between you and me is that you're coming from a science background and the substantive stuff really well. I don't, right? Like I learn a lot of this stuff days, weeks, hours before I use it, right? But what I understand, what is a part of my training is like I am used to talking to people who are, motivated ideologues, right? Who specifically, they're good. That they're not going to agree with you unless they absolutely have to, or unless it's in their interests, right? They're not going to agree with you just because something happens to be true. And so, my training is in how do you force that, right? How do you make them? How do you make them do that? And I like doing it, and that's why, that's what I get out of it. It's not like I'm trying to convince that person of something because, like Dr. Kenthoven is not going to change his mind just because I happen to actually give him an example of a kind bringing forth, you know, other
Yeah, no.
of an animal bringing forth other than its kind, right?
Please do not
and
use those words
yeah.
in one sentence.
What's that?
Please don't use those words in one sentence.
Well, why is that? I did do that though. That
The
was
thing is, he's not a doctor. That's
oh yes. Well, I'm
He-
a big believer in calling people what they want to be called, right? So like
I
if he
mean,
wants
like
to be identified as a doctor, then fine, you
I
know.
mean,
But
I
sorry,
get that, but like I'm more of a doctor than Kent is, and I have a bachelor's degree.
go
But
and
at
the
yeah,
least
I
thing
I'm
know.
from
is,
a legit university.
and the other thing
Yeah,
is,
no,
a
I hear
doctor
you. I hear
doctor is actually a protected term. So
Yeah, that's
you.
true.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll tell you what. Well, I'll just refer to him as Kent, you know, in these circles, and then if I'm speaking to him, like it's kind of like, look, I'm going to give you the respect that you're asking for, but it's gonna mean it's going to come with a certain set of expectations in terms of your knowledge base, right? So, like, if you want to be called a doctor, you better dang well act like it,
Right.
and that's one of the things that I called him out on. I called him out for pretty heavily when he and I had our conversation. Was like, if you want to be called a doctor, then I do expect you to have read the academic literature, and if you haven't, then I am going to roast you for it, right? Because
Fair.
that's what you are, purporting yourself to be. So, act like it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, I feel like we definitely shouldn't get rid of the coming at it from a science-based perspective, of course, but I also think, like you're saying, we should be coming at it from like I said, more of an argument or Socratic based approach, because sometimes that
Mm.
well,
kind
that's
of
one of I agree. That's one of the
I mean,
things that
like
I'm kind of
we
hoping over the long term that or that I'll be able to sort of um, diffuse out into the scientific community is some of the tricks and tips and tricks that
yeah,
um, that can be used to sort of make sure that you get your point across and the person doesn't slip away. Actually, do you guys do you guys want to do something that's semi fun? It's an exercise that I used to, I used to do all the time with my junior lawyers to help them to learn how to ask good probing questions in cross examination.
sounds
okay.
like fun.
Okay.
Before
Okay,
we do
Doc,
that though, I do just want to say,
go ahead.
hey, Beamsy, does this look familiar?
not rainbow enough.
Sorry, I had to. But yeah, sounds like a fun little experiment. Let's see, do I?
Sure. Well, I promised AJ Atheist Jr. that I'd do this one with him as well. So don't get don't steal his thunder or tell him you guys got a preview of this if he and I do it later,
Okay.
because it's still fun. It's still fun. It's valuable for every person who does it. So so you guys pick who you want to do it. We'll do one person at a time. But what I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to get me to admit that the sky is blue. Okay. And I can't lie, but I'm going to be as difficult as possible. And I will answer your questions. You need to get me to say that the sky is blue. Who wants to go?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Why am I
Beamsy,
nervous?
you want to give
all
it a
of a
go?
sudden?
If you want, but I also know how to obfuscate, so this is going to be frustrating for some people.
Oh yeah, it's kind of takes a certain kind. But what'll happen is you're going to struggle, flail around, and then you're sort of going to start to get like the trial and error aspect of it in a safe place is part of it, right? and you kind of get a sense of it. It's fun.
The last time I tried something like that with someone who wanted the same argument, literally, we went through and we were discussing more about if you can see and perceive color. That's where the argument started.
And that's probably a good angle to take it. Yeah, that's probably a good angle to take it.
Oh,
I've
also, I
done
do
something-
want to say AJ is in the chat.
Oh, AJ's here. Well, maybe AJ should do it then, because he's got
Yeah.
experience in it.
I mean,
Yeah,
you want to
I'll-
hop on, AJ? The link is pinned in the chat.
Yeah, I've done these sort of things before, so I think it would be fair for me to actually go first, and
Yeah,
AJ would be fun for it.
for sure.
Let's see. I guess I can try and give it a quick go.
Sure, go for it.
All right. What color do you think the sky is?
I don't really have a strong opinion on the matter, but I don't think that the sky is a particular color.
Okay. I will acknowledge that the sky does change colors fairly often. But in
Mhm.
your observation, is there a predominant color that is usually up there?
I'm not really even sure what that question means.
From your observations of the sky, is there a color up there that is more common than other colors? Let's say orange, green, etc.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
What color would that be?
I'd say white's pretty common. Black. I'd say black is probably the predominant color. It's the one you see the most.
Yeah, sorry. I am going to have to give up because it has been a long work day. My brain is not here. But this seems like a fun exercise.
It's a riot. Yeah.
Wonder if AJ's still gonna hop on.
AJ
Well-
would be perfect. 'Cause he knows what he's doing.
Well, you got the link, and we can send it to him over Discord as well. Just
It's
Well, we
pinned
can
in
talk
the
about other
top of the
stuff while we
chat.
wait for him if you want. What's up?
I was just saying the link is pinned at the top of the chat. So if he wants to hop in, it is right there. But if he doesn't, fair enough.
No, we'll do it. I'm sure he and I will do it later at some point if
Oh,
if
I
nothing
literally
else.
just said that, and then he appeared.
Aha! Summon
Hello,
thee.
AJ.
That's how I am. I'm like Beetlejuice.
I was just looking in the mirror and saying your name to myself.
no, that's Candyman.
Oh.
Or that's Bloody
well,
Mary.
I do
You know
have to
what?
ask,
It
does
summons a
summoning
lot
you
of
work
things.
in other languages? Or, other letters?
What'd you say?
It's like if I were to say AJ in Spanish, would you still appear, AJ?
Yeah, with a sombrero.
That's
Hmm.
Mexican. You racist.
Wait, what? He said Spanish, right?
Yes.
No,
Well,
Spanish people. wear
They do
sombreros,
speak
so.
Spanish there.
I mean, to be fair, there is Mexican Spanish. It is its own individual dialect.
It's referred to as
Oh, really?
Hispanic.
yes. I mean, I live in
mean-
South Texas, so they.
I mean, I
I
just
mean, they
learned
speak
it
Spanglish
as
here.
Spanish.
Anyway.
I'm not a racist.
No, you're not. I'm just being an ass.
I am not a crook, he says.
That's right. That's right.
For me, it's
Oh,
just more
do
a
you
matter
wanna
of you are
give-
what you eat.
Oy vey. Do you want to give Anderson's trial a go?
Yeah, we did this before offline, and it was pretty fun. So
Yeah, it's a good one.
um, he might know some of my questions already, but yeah, I think
Yeah, just lay into me.
okay.
Don't worry, there's
I'm like,
plenty. There's plenty. There's plenty here.
do we pick up
No,
where we're finished or start over?
just start over. Just start over for
Okay.
everybody's benefit, and then that way you can clip this and make content out of it. Provided that's okay with Doc, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would be fine. Okay. So do you know what color is?
You tell me.
Well, oh, that's a tough one.
I mean,
You
I
might-
know what I think a color is, but I don't know what you think a color is.
Well, so are we talking about the day, what the sky looks like at daytime or at nighttime? Do you know the distinction between the two?
I'm familiar.
Well, would you say that even if it's not color, would you say that there's a difference between how the sky looks at night or at daytime?
I don't know.
You don't
I'm
know?
not sure. I'm not sure whether I would say that there's a. Maybe. Maybe that a maybe.
Okay.
Depends what
we
you
can-
mean. I think.
We can
AJ,
come
would you
back
like
to
me to
that.
give you some help?
No,
What's that?
let him go for a bit. Let him go for a bit.
Yeah, I think it's supposed
Yeah,
to be.
let him go, and then we'll do break points, and we'll circle back, and we'll talk about the different places that he went. It'll be fun.
Yeah, so we can come back to that one. But okay, I'm gonna reuse one of these. So when you wake up in the morning, or when you have your eyes closed, is there a difference between how things look when your eyes are closed and when they're not, or when they're open?
Sure.
Is that a maybe?
I said sure.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't hear you.
Oh,
Okay.
it's all right.
So do you know why there's a difference? Could you articulate that?
I think I know why.
Right. Well, the reason that there's a difference is because of light. And when light reflects or is emitted off of something, it's going to produce a sensation in your eye. The properties that different objects have are going to produce different sensations. So they're going to reflect light either more or less. And that's what color is. And basically, so explaining, there's a way that it's people think it's impossible to explain color to a blind person, which this kind of feels like. But I've seen some experiments done where they will, to get the concept, at least they'll tell them the names of different colors, and they'll have the person feel different. I think like they'll feel the words in Braille, the name of the colors in Braille, and since they can see that they're different, it's not just that they're different words, but that they can see that colors are different from each other. Now, when you open your eyes, you can see that instead of it just being black, there's a multitude of different sensations. Everything doesn't look the same. It's not all uniform. That's because things are different colors. And one of those colors is going to be blue, and that's the color of the sky. Now, if I couldn't get you to admit that that's what the color of the sky is, that's just the fact of the matter, that's what it is. Now, do you agree with that, or you disagree with that, or you don't know?
I disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah. So let's just pause there. because I think this is a good moment. So you said like a whole bunch of things in there that
Yeah.
were like they were good and they were factual, and that had the opportunity, like that had potential to make inroads, but you said them as statements,
Right.
and you need to turn them into questions and like break them down. So one fact, one question, right?
Mm.
There was a whole bunch of stuff there, and I just got to sit here and I didn't have to agree to any of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because when you said that you disagreed, I was thinking like, well, I'm not sure what he disagrees with because there's multiple things I said.
Exactly. Because there was all kinds of stuff in there, and I can just say I disagree, and that's true. I'm not allowed to lie, right? But so that was true, because I mean there might be one tiny thing in there that I take issue with, and I can just say I disagree with the whole darn thing, and now you're back at square one, right? So like break it down into really little chunks and feed them to me like one by one. Like you agree to this, you agree to this, you agree to this. These tiny little things that it's like I'm gonna look stupid if I don't agree that like for example when you're like there's a difference between when your eyes are open and your eyes are closed. And I'm like, yeah, there's a difference. And then you're like, and that difference has got something to do with light and da 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 da. Da. Too much, right?
Yeah.
And that difference has something to do with light. Correct? Right? And you
Yeah.
force me to admit to that one tiny little thing before you go anywhere. Because then you kind of locked it in, right? And psychologically, even though it's not like this is a courtroom setting where I can be like, and I asked you to blah blah blah. I want to have the court reporter read your answer back to you, like even though you don't have any of those things, right? Psychologically, the fact that I said yes and agreed to it has sort of weight in the conversation, right? So forcing that tiny little admission that, yeah, the difference between my eyes being closed and open has something to do with light is progress. Lock that in before you go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's right. You're right that I don't have those things, but I do have your answers that you've previously given that I could come back to and say, well, you said this, didn't you? And if you agree,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Yeah.
did somebody else wanted to say something? Or try
Well, I did want to say something.
because I have to go do something for 1 second, so I'll be
Sure.
right back.
Well, just like I understand the point of the exercise, and it's interesting as that was going on, I started to recognize, oh, this is shit that creationists do to me all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so, like, you might not know this about me. I am mildly autistic, and it's
Okay.
hard for me to, like, it's hard for me to notice, like, if someone is lying to me or trying to deceive me, unless I'm very much paying attention. So maybe like exercise like this could help.
Yeah, it probably could because I mean, what it allows you to do is be very literal minded, right? And you just make sure that you get an answer to your question, right? So like, here, let's do it. You have a go, Doc, and as we do this little bit, just be very insistent on making sure you actually get an answer to your question and kind of lean into that autism almost. And if that makes any sense, it might not. I might just said something offensive. If I did, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But like I said earlier, I worked all day today. My brain is not all here. This is something I'd
That
like to do when
if
I'm
it
better
doesn't
rested.
work for you, then that's okay. But I'd say I would encourage you. Let me say it this way: I would encourage you to give it a shot and just sort of be very literal minded, and make sure you get the answer to your question. Give it a try if you like, and if you don't want to, that's okay too.
All right.
Yeah, before you go, Doc, I am gonna head out now to get something to eat. So, but thanks for having me on, and
Thanks for joining.
Mike. Yeah, I hope to join another one soon. So, have a good night, everyone.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
See,
All right, let's see.
so to sort of run me off of what AJ was doing, think about, that there's a difference between your eyes being open and being closed, and that it has something to do with light, and then just build off of that idea.
That's what I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, try not to overthink it with your questions. Just
Simple, tiny, little questions.
Do colors exist?
Tellers? You mean like bank tellers? I mean, I suppose they exist.
So when you're out, sorry, I like to talk, so I have to think. Let's shorten this. Dear. I mean, I guess I'll just start like AJ did. When your eyes are closed versus when your eyes are open, is there a difference in your perception of the world?
In some ways, there are differences. In a lot of other ways, there aren't differences. I mean, because I have many senses, right? So I can feel things, I can smell things. I wouldn't say that there's a difference when I smell things. Whether my eyes are open or my eyes are closed, there's no difference when I smell things.
Is the information perceived by your eyes different when they're open versus closed?
No, I can't smell through my eyes.
Is the visual information obtained by your eyes different when your eyes are open versus closed?
Is visual information different? I thought we were talking about smell here.
I never specified smell. I just said information at first. Now I'm being more specific.
Well, information. What's information? And by the way, it's okay to get a little annoyed when I'm doing something. Like I'm doing this deliberately. I'm being deliberately very
I
annoyed
know
right now with you.
are. It's just
And I know that it's probably frustrating you a little bit just because of who you are and how you're feeling right now. And so I'm
This-
just sort of flagging that for
well,
you.
it's
Like
just-
it's okay. Like get annoyed, get a little rough with me in a situation like this.
okay. You ask me what information is. What do you have a definition for information?
You know what? I wouldn't even go down that road. I think this is a situation where you can go, come now, Mr. Anderson. We both know we're talking about visual information. We both know we're talking about the information your eyes gather from the surroundings. You're aware that you gain information through your eyes when they're open, right?
Okay,
You know,
I
and
see.
you just kind of
I
cut,
see what
just
you're
cut
saying.
to it, right? Just be like, you and I both know you're being stupid, right? Because
remember, he's
sometimes
going
that's
to
what
be
the
as
person
obstinate as
does, and that's what
possible on
I'm doing.
purpose. Yeah, he's
What's
he's
that?
trying
Yeah,
to fight you.
I see. Sorry. Just
Yeah. No, it's I'm doing this on purpose, like because other people will do this to you on purpose. So like,
yeah,
this is a great moment where it's like, it's the come now. We both know you're being stupid. Like this is real simple. You're trying to make it complicated. It ain't complicated. I'm not interested in an esoteric conversation about, like the reality of perception right now. I'm talking about your eyeballs. And you know how when you open those, have like these lids in front of them and they are up, that you gain information about the world around you. That kind of information. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Right? And you can get like a little condescending and just be like, don't be stupid.
okay.
Right?
That might be a big ask for Doc.
No hablo inglés.
I've seen Doc do that for sure. Like I'm pretty sure I saw him do that
I
yesterday.
guess I
Like
can
he
try.
definitely
I
has that
can
side to
try
him.
it at times. It's
Yeah, I've seen you rip. I've seen you rip some buttholes. I know you can.
so the way my brain works. For me to get really confrontational, I have to have. I need a reason in my head beyond this is practice.
Well, this is
Right.
practice for your debate with Kent, and I mean, I feel
Yes,
like
but like with Kent, like what motivates me, I need to stop saying like so much. In a debate with Kent, it's easier for me to get into the mindset because I know who he is, I know what he stands for, I know his exact position, and I have an idea of what his responses may be. And because of that, I can better engineer my questions or how I interact with him to get certain responses.
I'm talking about being
Okay.
confrontational though, because with Kent, you know who he is and his background, and maybe this is just me, but that makes me want to be more kind of a firebrand in my debates with him. And since this is
Yeah.
practice for that debate, I was thinking, I don't know if that makes sense, but maybe that could be a reason to, go Super Saiyan on Mr. Anderson.
Yeah,
Would
I
you
mean,
like
I'm
some
I'm
advice?
basically being a foil for you for him, right? Or for anybody, but especially like, this particular thing that I've just done to you is like Kent Hovind 101.
Yeah, when
This
you
is this
changed
is that's his
to
bread
the
and butter.
talking about smells, that really reminded me of Kent, the kind of non sequitur, the blatantly changing,
Oh, you're
Yeah.
like,
right.
yeah, that reminded me of
Oh
Kent
yeah,
a lot.
yeah, and that's exactly why I did that. It is to sort of give you the opportunity to recognize, like, I am not giving you an answer to your question. I know what you're looking for, and I'm not giving it to you. I'm being deliberately stupid, right?
Hmm.
And we both knew
When
that was
dealing with
happening.
lawyers, yeah, when dealing with lawyers or someone who has the mindset of a lawyer, keep the same question short and try and limit it to them saying yes or no. And if they say maybe, then that's where you hit them on because you exclusively want yes or no.
Yeah, that's actually a good piece of advice. So the language that we would use in have you ever heard of a leading question? You like objection. That's leading. You're leading the witness. You
Yeah.
hear that in
When you
court
ask a
shows
question
and
to
stuff.
achieve a specific answer, or am I
Not quite.
misunderstanding that?
A leading question is a question where the answer is buried in a question. And all the questions that, like yes or no questions, are almost always leading questions. And
It,
the reason that's not
so
allowed, it
if
is
if
allowed.
I could bring up maybe a possible example, when did you stop beating your wife? Is
No,
that a
that's
leading
a
question?
no. That's not a well.
That's a
It is
malformed
sort of, but
question.
that's a different. That's an unfair question, right? A leading question, like
Mhm.
so, when you're doing cross examination, which is basically what I'm teaching you how to do right now, you always lead, right? Because you have a hostile witness. Hostile witness just means like the witness is not trying to help you get the information that you want, right? If it's your witness, so like if let's say we had a court case and I was your lawyer and I called you as a witness, right? You're my witness. I'm not allowed to lead you, and the reason for that is that the court wants to hear your testimony. They don't want to hear my testimony, and so it can't be like, all right, Dino, you were at the hotel on October 6th, right? Yes. And you signed a document. Yes. And this is that document. Yes. And then you told the person to get bent. Yes. And then they said, screw you, Doc Dino. Yes. Right. And all you said is yes. And it's like, that's not like, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear it in your words. So that's why it's not allowed in direct. But cross, which is kind of what we're doing here, you almost always lead, which means you always try and control the answer and cut them off from being able to say anything that you're not expecting. And so that's why if you've ever heard me when I am like, either debating Kent or even yesterday when I was debating Donnie, how many times did you hear me use the word right? A lot, right?
A lot.
A lot of times. Because what I would do is I would say statements to him and then I would say, right? Or I would say, you will agree with me that blah, 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 blah. And I'm putting statements to him, right? And so that I'm getting him to say it in my words and forcing him to agree that those things are true. Right? It's like I'm literally putting words in his mouth and then asking him to confirm that those things I'm putting in his mouth are true. And that
And
way I
those
have a
statements
lot
are
more
usually
control
based
over the
on things
way.
he said in the past.
Well, they
And
might be, or
are
they
you
might be
trying to
just
catch
things
him
that
in
I
a
want him to say.
contradiction with?
Well, I wouldn't do that because, well, sometimes I will. Yeah, sure, sometimes. But more so, what I'm doing is I'm building these little facts. So, like, for example, with Donnie yesterday, right? I wanted him to admit that most of the genetic information that he's measuring between parent and child hasn't got anything to do with the mutations that happen in the germline, in the eggs and the sperm, right? And so we started with, the study that was used was a study called Ding et al., right? Yes. And in that study, they measured blood, right? Yes. And that blood is different from the sperm and the egg, right? Yes. And that blood, it's an autosomal cell. It's a somatic cell, which means it's the kind of cell that does a job rather than passing information on to an offspring, right? Yes. Right. And it goes little by little until I get him to say, until he's forced to admit he's agreed to all these little things, right? If I just put all of that to him as one big like info dump, and then I tried to draw a conclusion, he would say, I don't agree with that conclusion. Right. And it's like, hey, he'll find some stupid way that he can justify to himself that he can't, doesn't agree to that conclusion. All he wants to be able to say is, I don't agree. But because it's been little thing by little thing, he's had to admit to all along the way, then when I say, and so based on all of that, you will agree with me that the genetic information that's being measured in that study does not represent the the genetic information that is associated with changes over successive generations.
So,
And he's kind of stuck, and he goes, well, it's never what I'm meant to say anyways. You're like, okay.
so
We make a little
let me
progress.
let me see if I'm understanding you right. So,
That's a good phrase. I want you to put that one in your back pocket.
let me
Man, I
That is
gotta
a
see if
jump
I'm
out,
really good
guys.
phrase. I
understanding you
use that one
correctly.
all the time, right? Somebody gives you a big long blah 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 blah. Let me see if I'm understanding you right. And now you break down everything they just said into little sound bites. Get them to agree to each one. Beautiful.
So you'll ask him one question, like, what was the study about? What was the study covering?
No,
And the
bury the
question
answer in
is,
the question, because then he's not going to go sideways on you, right? So the study was about blah, right?
the study was about. So, to like, so we're on the same page. While you were having that discussion with Donnie, I was chatting away with T Rock and another creationist in the side chat, so I wasn't paying too
Yeah,
much attention to your discussion with Donnie. But
that's fair.
so the study is about, was it mutations in blood cells? Or
Yeah, so in the case of this, in the case of the conversation with Donnie, the study was called Ding et al. It was a 2015 study, and it was a study of the pedigree mutation rate. The pedigree mutation rate was measured by looking at, they took blood cells from parents and offspring, mothers and daughters, and they sequenced the mitochondrial DNA, and they counted up the differences between the mitochondrial DNA of the parents and the daughters, and they said that's how many mutations there are between parent and daughter, right? But the problem is that those mitochondria were not egg cells; they were mitochondria in blood, and mitochondria mutate over the course of a person's life. So both the mothers and the daughters' mitochondria were mutating, or have been mutating over, like, let's say the daughter's 18 and the mother's 36, right?
so wait, before you
Yeah.
finish, let me try before you finish. I want to see if I can finish your argument in my own way, if that makes sense, and you can tell me how it compares to
Do
yours.
it.
So your source is Ding et al., correct?
Correct. Well, it's genes and source, but sure.
right? And that paper was talking about blood cells, correct? Specifically, mutation rates in the mitochondria of blood cells.
You should stop that. Correct.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, correct. Yeah, that was good.
Right. Okay. And it looked at the DNA differences between mothers and daughters in their blood cell mitochondria, correct? Sorry,
That's
in the
right.
DNA of their mitochondria, right?
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now where I would go with this is I would say, what cells are used in human reproduction?
I mean, it's
Sorry,
an
no,
unnecessarily open-ended question.
right. Make it less open-ended.
Yeah,
Are
just
blood
give them the
cells
answer right in
used
the
in human
question.
reproduction?
Yeah, that's better, but you can do better yet. To what? Because what are the ones that are used in reproduction?
Right.
You just give them that. Just give them the answer. Right. Now, there's a difference between
When it comes to
somatic
human
cells like blood cells
reproduction,
and germline cells like sperms and eggs. Right.
when it comes to human reproduction, humans reproduce using germline cells, correct?
Right.
And blood cells are not germline cells, correct? They're somatic cells.
Typically, yes. I mean, perhaps in some instances, a germline cell could be, could
In
become
normal
a
human
somatic
reproduction,
cell in a good cutoff. Good cutoff. Good
in
cutoff.
normal human reproduction, it is germline cells, not somatic cells, used in reproduction, correct?
Well, I mean, in a normal human reproduction, a fetus is going to eventually, develop, like its germ cells are going to differentiate into blood
We're
cells, and
not
so I mean,
starting
like
at a
technically,
fetus. We're starting at the very beginning. Is it germ cells that meet, or is it somatic cells that meet?
it's germ cells.
It's germ cells.
Yes.
I had the conclusion, keep the conclusion. So, in other words, this study was about the mutations found between mother and daughter in somatic cells, not germline cells. So, the mutations in these cells have nothing to do with mutations passed down from mother to daughter. Correct?
No, I don't agree with that.
Yeah. Sorry, I had an outline in my head and then I lost it and I tried to rebuild it and
You
I
had
missed
it.
some
You had it.
dots.
Yeah. Look, I'm being deliberately difficult, right? So
I know, and I appreciate that.
yeah. You have to kind of think. You have to sort of think that sometimes, like when I did this to Donnie, I actually had this all pre-planned out in my like not just in my head, but I had notes, right? So like
Right.
sometimes, if especially if I'm going after somebody who is particularly slippery or on a topic where I know they're going to be particularly slippery, I'll game it out in advance, right?
Right.
And like that's something I had to do that for Hovind, right? Because he is very slippery. And then have to do is there's a balance that you have to achieve between reacting to what the person says, because even though you have a script, you can't just follow the script, because you have to kind of be aware, you have to listen to the answers, and you have to, what I call, follow the white rabbit, right? Because sometimes that white rabbit will lead you to Wonderland. I'll give you a good example of that. Was my debate with was that guy's name, David H. He was the heat problem guy. Do you remember that? I don't know if you saw that.
Was that the stream they did? It was
Yeah, it was like 2-3 weeks ago.
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
I
so
think
this guy, something like that. Couple 2-3 weeks ago, something like that. Anyway, this guy, he so he's a creationist, and he definitely sees it. He's an ideologue like everybody else, but he would say stuff, and so like at some point I was like, so you think that he's like, I think there's the heat's still down there, and I'm like, okay, do you have any reason to think that the heat's still down there, or is that just your opinion, something you happen to hold dear? And he said, oh, it's just something I happen to hold dear.
It was just his opinion,
right? And
basically.
yeah, and I could
remember
have stopped there, but I'm listening to him, right? And I'm like, so you don't have any basis in science or fact. It's just, something you happen to believe. And he goes, yeah. And I go, okay. And the only reason that you believe that the heat is still there is because you don't have a way to get rid of it. And he goes, yeah, I guess that's right. And I'm just like, okay.
So this whole thing was worthless then.
I'm like, right, okay, well, so thank you then for that one. Like, did not expect you to say that, but you did. So, and I only got that from him because I'm listening to his answers and I'm asking those follow-up questions, and I'm following the white rabbit, right? And sometimes like, and it's not just like creationists I've done that to. Like, I've gotten people on stuff like that in court, where like, somebody is says something and you're just like, wait, what? And you follow it up, and then they say something and you're like, okay, well, you handed me that on a platter, right? You always have to be listening and thinking. Yeah.
So
it's like, it's partially improv, it's partially planned.
Yeah, and even when I debate someone like Kent, I try to put in a bunch of research into like, what is their position? What are their common arguments? Stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I know a lot of people do that. I remember AJ
helps me.
Oh, for sure. I remember AJ used to, or I remember seeing his stream. This is before I ever met him. And he said something about like, I was thinking about just like doing like a logic tree where like, if he says this, I'll say this. If he says this, I'll say this. And just doing that for like every possible thing that he could say. And I was like, I mean, you can't do that, right? It's impossible. It's too much. It's too much. But what you can do is restrict what you think he is going to be able to say and have answers prepared for those things. And you do that with witness control and controlling the shape of the conversation, right? And, and then beyond that, and this is where the skill kind of comes in, is when he starts to go off, you bring him back to where you want to be, right? It's like,
okay.
Look, we're not talking about smell right now, my friend. We're talking about sight. We're talking about vision. You know what vision is. Don't tell me you don't. I'm not interested in sight right now. I'm interested in vision. So when you open your eyes, you have vision, right?
Sorry, really quick. My computer is going freaking ballistic because I touched something.
It's because it likes it. It's so happy for you, having this opportunity to yell at somebody in a polite way.
Would it be correct to say this is an exercise in obfuscation?
I would say this is an exercise in de-obfuscation. Like people always say like, oh, lawyers twist my words and stuff. I'm like, especially in a situation like this, I'm not twisting your words. I'm untwisting them. It's just that you don't like what they look like when they're straight. You're trying to give me a very twisted answer that, avoids a particularly thorny problem. And I'm not letting you do that. And I'm simplifying your questions down. And I'm forcing you to straight.
Darling, when it comes to me, nothing's ever straight.
Yeah. But that's kind of the idea is that you're breaking it down, you're simplifying it down so that they have to come to grips with a problem that that they have, and you deliberately walking them right towards that problem. and they want to make it complex and nuanced, and you're like, no, it's not nuanced, it's not complex, it's pretty dead simple. You have eyes,
Sorry, I
you
will
can
be
look up, you
right
know what color
back.
the sky.
I need to take care of this, or it's gonna. Ugh.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell AJ and Dino didn't actually have ever dealt with something like this because they were going about it the wrong way. They were giving you two long-winded questions and giving you an open air to answer in the way that you wanted.
Well, it's not easy, right? You want to give it a shot?
Well, do you want to stick with the color blue, or do you want to pick a different one?
No, do the color blue. Color blue's a great one.
Yeah, are you aware that light is perceived through the electromagnetic spectrum?
I don't think it's perceived through the electromagnetic spectrum.
No, I asked, are you aware? Because this is known to a fact. Are you aware that light is perceived through the electromagnetic spectrum?
I'm not aware that light is perceived through the electromagnetic spectrum because I don't believe that's correct.
It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what you believe because it has been shown.
Well, that says you.
Now I forgot who actually
did the light is not research. Perceived through the electromagnetic spectrum. Light is perceived through a chemical process in the brain. And once light enters the eye, it ceases to be an electromagnetic wave. To some extent, it's an electrical impulse. To the extent that an electrical impulse is part of the electromagnetic spectrum, I suppose, in that sense, then it is part of the electromagnetic spectrum, but I don't think that that's what you meant, so.
Right. Sorry.
No, it's not what I meant, but.
Sorry, I am back. I don't know what the hell happened with my computer, but it was going to give me a headache if I didn't fix it. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Do you want to keep going, Beansy? We'll circle back to Doc in a sec. I think you're onto something for sure. I'm being a dick to you on purpose.
I know, but I used the wrong word because the aspect to perceive could actually be.
Oh, you absolutely, yeah, I absolutely see tiny little thing.
Yeah, I used the wrong word.
You're absolutely right. I did that on purpose. Yeah.
It should have been light is represented in the electromagnetic spectrum, not perceived. That's what it should have been, the question.
Yeah. I mean, wait, the real thing that I'm getting at by doing that is that sometimes people will seize on those things, and I could seize on represented too, right? But I'm being a dick. What you need to do is call out my dickishness, right?
Yeah,
and just be like, look, you could be perceived, you could say represented. You know that light is an electromagnetic wave, right? You know that, don't you, sir? Right? And you just kind of, it's okay to get a little patronizing when somebody's being deliberately obtuse, like I am being to you.
But I did actually use the incorrect terminology. It should have been represented and not perceived because you were correct.
You did use the incorrect. You used the incorrect terminology, and I'm being pedantic about it, right? And then you just give it right back to me.
And I need to be as pedantic back. It's a matter of.
Exactly.
But I screwed up there and just basically handed it to you at the beginning.
You know what? You're worrying too much about whether or not you did exactly the right thing, and what you need to worry about is whether or not I'm doing the wrong thing. It's okay that you misspeak or you say it's going to happen, right? Because you're thinking on your feet. It's not a big deal, right?
Yeah. No preparation makes it a lot more challenging.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to end up in situations like that in real life where you're not going to be prepared, and you gotta, create these questions off the cuff, and they're going to be imperfectly worded, and somebody's going to be pedantic and seize on a little thing like that, and like the thing that I'm trying to sort of show you here, because like Beamsy, I can already tell that this ain't your first rodeo, and so I'm being a little bit harder on you, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. But
yeah, so I am also, right, and I'm not trying to do that to, like, make myself feel superior. I'm doing that because, like, I'm trying to make sure that you get something of value out of this, right?
Yeah,
So like these
you-
are smaller, subtler things.
yeah, I'm only aware of these tricks. You practice these tricks. That's the difference.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I do this for a living, right? So like and like I said, I mean I've done this like as an exercise for other lawyers before, right? Who've been in law school and practiced law and are, working better at this stuff. Like I'm, if I'm gonna be arrogant, I'm pretty good at this particular thing. So
In
like
my case, I'm trying to think in rocks because I'm getting ready for what's happening next week, and I'm all excited for that.
Oh, yeah.
you
Beams
debating
wanna-
somebody next week?
No, I'm actually going off to Cooper PD next week, and I'm going to be digging in a fossil field.
Oh, that's super awesome. Good for you.
Yes, so I'm trying to get that out of my head to get myself in the right mindset, but I can't.
Oh yeah, no, that's tough. That's tough, right? It's a completely different headspace, right? Yeah, no. Here, give it another go, because beside aside from my deliberate pedantry, that was a good question. So rephrase it. Hit me again.
Okay, trying this again, but trying to get out of the happy headspace. You're aware that we represent light in the electromagnetic spectrum.
I'm aware.
You're aware that we do, or you're aware that we don't?
I am aware that light is an electromagnetic wave. I think that's what you're asking.
That's not what I asked. Are you aware that we represent light in the electromagnetic spectrum?
If you're not asking me whether or not I know that light is an electromagnetic wave, then I don't understand your question. I'll give you that I know light's an electromagnetic wave.
But I'm saying that we represent it, as in if we get a picture of the electromagnetic spectrum, we can say light is there.
Sure. I think,
what?
to the extent I understand your question.
Are you aware that the electromagnetic spectrum can be divided up?
Yes.
You are aware that light, when passed through a prism, does do the same thing.
Does what same thing?
Divide up the electromagnetic spectrum.
Yeah, kind of.
What do you mean, kind of?
I mean that when light passes through a prism, what happens is that the light refracts and it bends, but it doesn't divide itself up into discrete,
again,
wavelengths. All of the wavelengths bend, and they all
bad
refract.
wording.
Right?
Bad wording. I'm thinking too much like rocks.
It's not discretized.
Here,
What's that?
I think I'm just in too wrong a headspace for this because I'm too excited for next week.
Here, how about this? Anderson, do you think you could do this with convince me that ice is a mineral? Because I think Beamsy could do that.
No, I'm in the wrong headspace.
All right, so I have to. So you want me to admit that ice is a mineral? Is that the goal?
I think that'd be easier for Beamsy to do.
Sure,
No,
let's do that.
I'm just in the wrong headspace when it comes to this sort of argument at the moment because it's just I'm too excited and going yes. So it's an aspect of
I mean, we can do whatever subject you want, right?
The aspect of ice and mineral has been an ongoing discussion for generations.
Right.
But I'll let Doc try. It's just the fact being that I think I'm in the wrong headspace for it because it's just too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Do you guys want me to give you an example of like how I would go about doing this with the with this guy thing?
Sure.
Would that be helpful? Or I can let you have another go if you want, or we can do something else. I mean, I'm easy.
Yeah. In my case, it's just the fact that I'm in the wrong headspace for it because, yeah, I can't get into that focused mood.
Well, so let's switch it around, and that way maybe because I feel like it's a little bit tough when you guys have seen like you know, an example of sort of how to go about it. Who wants to be the dick or the jerk or the Kent, whatever you want to call it?
Again, I can't do it simply because I'm in the wrong headspace. I'm just too excited to go off and play in the dirt.
All right, then it has to be you, Doc. You ready?
I don't think I can tonight either. I'm sorry.
That's fine then. Don't worry about it. We'll do another time. But yeah, like I said, like there's we can go through this. We can do this another time because there's lots and lots of like little subtle, things that you have to deal with. And like, I mean, I haven't even pulled out all my bag of tricks of different like evasive things that witnesses can and do say to you, right? To just like throw you off and try and make it more difficult for you to, and you learn, these things, a few times, how to corral them and bring them back on topic and, force them to confront the reality that we all know exists, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And it's
maybe
like it's useful. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, could I maybe explain like what my objective is when I do debates and see if you have any advice for my particular angle?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, when I do a debate with a creationist, I am mostly doing it to try and show their audience that, well, one, they can accept science without it compromising their faith, because apologists love to tie in acceptance of science with, tossing away your faith. That's why a lot of young earth creationists, when they learn about science, become atheists or agnostics or something similar, because it's so tied in. I want to encourage them to learn about science and have an open mind about it while not necessarily throwing away their faith, even if I disagree with it.
I think that's an excellent thing that that's an excellent perspective, a very valuable one, and I think that you should lean into that. And you should probably say that more explicitly, right? I do it in kind of a snarky way, right? Where you hear me say all the time, oh no, sir, I'm not saying the Bible is wrong. I'm not saying God's a liar. I'm saying you're a liar.
I'm saying your interpretation is wrong or you're a liar. I remember that line. That was a good line.
Yeah.
Was that in your debate with Ken?
But you don't necessarily have to be as snarky as. What's that?
Where did you say that first? Because I can't pin it down, but I remember you saying it.
Oh, it was time I said it was probably my first debate with Ken. And sir, I'm not saying Bible wrong. I'm saying you're wrong. And
right.
Yep.
Right. And AJ made a short highlighting that. That's why it sticks so clearly for me. You had a lot of good points in that debate, though. Like I guess I just want to make it clear that I understand what you're trying to teach me, and I do appreciate it, but I am going for the audience's education, more so than trying to win a case against Kent, because anyone who knows how to Google can take it down.
Use what you think is that. What's that?
Sorry, you cut out there too. But anyone who knows how to use Google well can take down Kent.
I mean, I like to think it's a little bit more skill, but I appreciate it. But I think when you're like I'm I think my sister there. Like
So sorry, I
everybody
didn't
in the world
anything you
thinks.
just said. You just cut out completely there.
Oh, I was just saying that like I think everybody in the world thinks that whatever they're at, whatever they do, like that's most valuable, like most important like thing in the world that everybody needs to know more about. Um, and it's the bias, and the thing is that of course that's not true of anybody else because like I'm the one who actually has all of the important, valuable things, like the things that things that everybody should know. Right? Who else is wrong? Except, right? That,
I think I got
um,
the gist of what you were saying there. You started
saying
roboting
that like
again.
I was saying everybody know is the most important thing, and I'm different. And
Okay, sorry,
like to
I am
think that the
really sorry, but I am not joking here. Every time you start talking, you go completely robot. I don't know what's going on. Like I'm not
here,
joking. I'm not
let me
being an
try.
ass
I'm gonna
here.
try and
You
see
keep
something different.
roboting.
I'm gonna try and say something different, and maybe the internet will allow me to say it. What I'm saying is, take what I am offering you and make it your own, and use parts that are useful. And not
Okay.
everything I do is going to be valuable to you, and that's okay.
Okay. That came through. Fair enough. Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you like make it your style, and if there's a little piece, like a tiny piece of what I, have tried to share with you that is useful, I'm happy. And if you're fine on your own, I'm happy. Just go and get them. That's all I care about.
I think I have picked up some valuable insights from this conversation, but I'll need time to
I
fully
hope so.
process them and maybe rewatch this when I have a bit more brain power to spare.
That's fair. And what else? Like we can do this again. Rome, wasn't built in a day. And like I said, this is the stuff that gets my motor running, and I love the idea of trying to share that stuff with people, and I hope that at some point there will be people are interested in this little bit that I can offer that they can integrate into their own skill sets. Because you have a great skill set. You're very knowledgeable. You you're good at arguing. You can do this without me, but maybe I can help.
Well, thank you. And really quick, Sydney Raptor saying maybe if you turn off your camera, that might help a little. But yeah, like
Okay.
I'm always open to hearing advice because I know I have my shortcomings. I am not perfect at everything, especially when it comes to communication or picking up on deceit. I am very bad at those unless I prepare.
Yeah. I don't know that much about autism, but from what I do understand, I think that in this very highly structured environment, your ability to pick up on deceit may actually, or your difficulty in picking up on deceit may actually not be as big of a hindrance because you it is always you are detect it, right? Because it
Sorry,
is
I
presumed.
heard up to may not be as big a hindrance, and then you roboted again. Uh,
I was
are
just saying that
are you
it
in a
can
part of your house
probably
with bad
see.
Wi-Fi connection? Maybe switching to data would help for a minute.
Shut up.
Are you there?
Yeah, any better at all?
Uh, we'll have to see. But so I think from what I heard, you were saying that like not being able to catch on to that might not be as big a hindrance as I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, again, that I have to realize that I don't actually know that much about autism in general, and I don't know certainly that much about the way that that it presents in you. But based on what I do know, and again, this is kind of me shooting from the hip. I think that it might not be as big of a hindrance as it is in other parts of your life because deceit can be presumed, right? In this
Hmm.
context. And so like discerning it and trying to like make those fine judgment calls, you don't necessarily need to in this situation. Either they admit what you know is true or they are being evasive. And you can presume that.
Okay. I think I get you. Um, maybe to give kind of an idea of what it's like, at least from what I've had with conversations from other people. Uh, have you ever had to? Have you ever tried to have a deep emotional conversation with someone while drunk?
Sure. Right. We all have.
It's like that permanently for me. It's really easy to misread things. It's easy to not pick up on signs
Mm,
and stuff like that. It's like that for
mm,
me constantly, and I have to really focus on like people's tone and body language to try and understand, like try and get a clear picture. Um, but with some people, it's easier than others. Um, like especially with people like Kent. Maybe just because I've listened to a lot of debates with him, but
mhm.
it's easy for me to tell when he's lying. His mouth is open.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. His mouth is moving. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a thing, but I'm
What's it?
learning to
So are
deal
you,
with it.
do you have a debate coming up with him?
I do sometime next month.
On what subject?
The geologic column.
Oh, that's going to be a good one. So tell me, if you have the energy, just out of interest, um, what are you going to say when he tells you that there's no such thing as the geologic column?
Hmm. There's no such thing as the geologic column. It was made up in 1874. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah 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 blah. Blah.
Okay, Kent, you can say it's made up, but I have presented these things to you. Do you have an opinion on the things I've presented? Because they're not going anywhere. They exist. You saying they don't exist doesn't take them away. These, like, this is going off of my current plan, which might change.
Mhm.
What I'm showing you on screen in this presentation that I have up, what I'm showing you is a column of sediments. Going from the bottom to the top, they go from older to younger They represent different environments. They come from different sources. We can track all of this, and I've explained how. You saying it doesn't exist doesn't take it away.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Can I give you some unsolicited constructive criticism that you are free to reject?
Of course.
I would take that, and if it were me, I would tweak it. I would say, I, I mean, I sometimes can get a little sassy with him, right? And be like, what do you mean it doesn't exist? So, do you see? I'm showing you a picture. This is a column of dirt. Do you see the column of dirt? You see it, don't you? Exists, doesn't it?
What he's
Oh, I
doing,
see.
It's
though,
real,
I'm
right?
on
just
it.
so both of you are well aware, what he's doing is conflating the geological column, the representation within the textbooks, with
Oh yeah.
a geological column.
Oh, I
So-
know. I'm going to explain that in
Oh,
my intro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I know, but the kind of like, a geologic column doesn't exist, and we're like, you know what? Geologic columns exist. Like, look, dude, the you know as well as I do that when dirt falls on the ground from wherever, and then other dirt falls on the ground, it's gonna fall. The second amount of dirt's gonna fall on top of the first amount of dirt. We both know that. And then if that happens over and over again, you're going to get a pile of dirt. Do you think piles of dirt exist? Okay. And if I call that a geologic column, I'm just referring to piles of dirt. You'll agree with me then that the geologic column, if by geologic column I mean piles of dirt, exists, right? And you get like when he gets stupid like that, my strategy typically is to make the words like very, 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 very simple, to the point where like he looks stupid if he disagrees with them. There's such things as piles of dirt, and you know that they have different layers. And I know you say that they're laid down at the same time or whatever. The fact of the matter is they're there and they exist. However they got there, we'll talk about that. But we're just going to start with one thing. This pile of dirt with different layers. Normal people call that a geologic column. You'll understand what I mean when I say the word geologic column, that's what I'm referring to, right? That, by the way, that you'll understand what I mean, thing where you define the term, is another sort of general trick that I'll do when people are being especially obtuse with respect to, well, that's not how I would define it. Like, I don't care how you would define it. I'm using the word. When I say this is what I mean. And you understand, do you not, that this is what I mean when I use that word? And so when I use it again, you're not going to be confused, are you?
Okay. All right. Hmm. So, hmm. Sorry, gonna need to think a bit more on that. What I have on
Yeah, like I
screen,
say, take it if it's valuable, take it. If it's not, pitch it.
sure. No, sorry. My brain is progressively shutting down. So I am
Worry.
doing my best to keep pace, but I'm gonna re-listen to this tomorrow when I'm more awake. For now, I just wanted to share. This is a slide from the other time I debated Kent last year. I don't know how much you know about him, but he likes to claim that Neanderthals are just old humans.
Yes.
Like he tries to explain.
Yes, I'm aware.
So to cut that off right away, because this was a debate on human evolution, I made this slide, which is all Neanderthal children and baby.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
asked him to acknowledge that they weren't old people. And he couldn't. And I'm slightly proud of this. At the end, when he couldn't admit it, I just said, "Well, Kent, I guess you can't admit when you're wrong, even when the evidence is literally staring you right in the face."
Yeah. That's
That was
sometimes as good as you're gonna get out of him. Like that's basically like a you know, that's a it's not a hole in one, but it's a putt. Right? It's that's an eagle, right? You sunk the putt when you do that. It's as good as it gets. It's realistically as good as it gets.
Oh, and sorry, asterisk to what I said before. Most of them on screen there were children, but there were a few older ones to show we have a growth series.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's a good argument. In fact, it's one that that I had like originally I was going to debate Kent about all kinds of issues, and I was going to like really rake him over the coals over every subject he cared to debate on. But then he started doxing me, and like potentially sending his followers after, like I was like, I don't need people coming after me, and like I'm a relatively public figure, I don't need
Yeah,
I don't need to
fair.
ask. So
Doc,
it's
bend
like,
over.
yeah.
Sydney wants me to apply a hand to your cheek.
Bet. Don't know what that was, but okay, honey.
Okay, we can get Kiki to do it.
Oh well. With that said, it is getting late. I think probably a good time to draw this to a close. Thank you for joining, Anderson, and genuinely thank you for your advice. Like I said, it'll take some time for me to absorb it, and I would love to have more conversations with you about this and other topics in the future, if you're interested.
No, I would enjoy that. Yeah.
If you're ever going to have a debate that involves paleontology, I'd be happy to help you research if you want.
Oh, I
That's
will
about as much as I
definitely
can
take you
offer.
up. Well, no, I mean, you have a wealth of subject matter expertise, and I make no bones about the fact that I very often will watch videos from guys like you and just like take your arguments and just ram them down the throats of, resistant like bozos, right? Like, because I don't know the subject matter, right? I learned it from you guys.
But I
So,
mean, it still says something that you can run circles around people like Kent who have been doing this for 60 years.
yeah, well, he's an amateur.
Oh, and I guess one final question to ask. Sydney is curious, what color is your sky?
Oh, are we right now, you mean?
Whatever world you live in.
I mean, the well, I'll tell you, I'll answer it this way. In the position that I was taking, the sky has no color because, of course, the sky is the color that you see is actually an artifact of the refraction of light,
Oh boy.
and so it only
I mean, if
appears
you think
blue.
about it, all color is just a hallucination.
Well, that was basically the dodge I was going to get into.
No, honey, you don't know the context. Sorry, I triggered the artist.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? Tell her that next time she can have a go.
Would you like to try and beat a lawyer at his own game? So he has a challenge for you. He wants you to convince him the sky is blue.
Yeah, bring her on. I want to do this. Let's do it.
Do you want me to forget about this because I don't think I have awake enough to go as long
Yeah,
as is
honey, I know
necessary.
you're not.
Hey!
Considering color is fake and
Yes.
she's an artist, no wonder she fakes it for you, Dino.
Your brain hallucinates that they're there. You're just detecting different wavelengths of light, and then your brain interprets that information.
Perception, not
See, now you're getting right into the dodge. You're starting to.
confirm that everyone
Yeah.
sees them the same.
Why do I feel like
Not
I'm
everyone
getting
sees them the same.
Why do I feel like I'm getting something very heavy thrown at my head from your direction, Dino?
Call it.
Or
It's
if I-
not that.
do you want
It
to?
could be grown up called red.
Do you want to come try?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Ah!
Okay. Yes, she's gonna come try.
I'm not sure if this is wise.
Probably not. When has that stopped you before?
Are you killing me with spite?
Maybe. So, honey, this is Mr. Anderson. He's a lawyer. He has a challenge for you.
Uh-huh.
Hi there. What's your name?
I go by Kiki.
Kiki. Nice to meet you. I go by Mr. Anderson, or Anderson is fine too. So we were talking about like how to force people to admit things that everybody knows is true when they're being deliberately difficult. And so we were doing an exercise where you have to ask me questions and force me to admit that the sky is blue, which we all know is true. But I'm going to be as deliberately difficult as possible. I can't lie, and I have to answer your questions, but I'm going to make it as hard as possible for you.
Are you sure you still want to do this?
I have doubts. You didn't give that
It's-
context to me, honey.
You don't have to. You don't have to do it. That's just the game we were playing.
Yeah, I'm not that masochist.
That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to do it. It's good practice for when you end up like debating somebody like a creationist or something who, may be willing to admit the color of the sky, but certainly won't admit that that layers of dirt pile up and that we can tell how old they are, right?
Now, what I think you mean to say is they won't admit the color of the firmament. Or they'll admit the
Yeah.
color of the firmament.
For what now?
Do you not know the
Well,
firmament?
exactly.
Honey, you're lucky I remember any fucking basic science or biology.
A lot of flat earthers believe that there is what is it? Is it like an ice ceiling?
It's referred to as a crystal dome.
Oh, that's the canopy. That's different.
Yeah, no. I avoid that because I
That's
don't
got to
study
be
those people.
that's got to be the single dumbest thing that Kent believes is the canopy theory.
Yeah, this isn't Alpha Minecraft where we're trapped in a box.
Oh,
Yeah, it's modded beta Minecraft.
I do like modded Minecraft.
Yeah, that fits much better.
I haven't played my dinosaur Minecraft in forever.
It's because it kept crashing and you were losing your dinos.
Oh yeah, that's why.
Have you seen
let
the
you
new
do
dinosaur
fair-
one?
New dinosaur one?
Oh god,
Yeah.
there's so many. There's so many.
I have not. Explain further.
Why are you staring at me, child?
There's a new one that's out that's a bit more in depth and has much more dinos.
Is that
I'll
one
see if I
big?
can find it again and send a link.
Okay. Is it claws?
All I know is about 2 weeks ago it won quite a fair few awards and was quite stable.
Huh.
Interesting.
Interesting.
No,
I really wasn't
here's
paying
I'm gonna
attention
leave.
to the
We'll leave you with this, Doc. What is the best dinosaur objectively?
Oh,
I mean, I am a Deinonychus.
Well, that's very interesting, witness, but it's not the question I asked you.
Best by what metric?
Objectively the best.
In what measure?
He told you.
Well, I mean, I'm going to rely on you for that. What are the appropriate measures for determining the best dinosaur? Let's start with that, and then you can tell me which one the best is.
Okay. Best can be considered a synonym of greatest, and greatest can be considered a synonym of largest. Therefore, the largest dinosaur would be a titanosaur.
Isn't it an Argentinosaur?
Debated. Very debated.
So the answer is actually that you don't know.
I don't know yet.
No,
Just
I
being
can't
a
have the
jerk.
full conversation with him. I would want to strangle him.
That's the point.
I can't do
But
that.
but you know what is nice is that I'm actually on your team, and you can watch me do this to other people. There are videos online of me doing this to creationists.
See, that I'm quite happy about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, who were
Yeah.
you on last night? You were up a long time.
Standing for truth. again.
That's what we were doing last night. I was giving Standing for Truth the gears about whether or not well, he shot his mouth off about something, and of course I couldn't let somebody be wrong on the internet. So
Oh yeah, that's right. You wanted to talk about Price earlier, didn't you?
about what?
Paul Price.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was well, I was interested in this whole thing about like I wanted to know if I was correct about this whole thing in terms of that permineralization, the partial permineralization, and the modification of the bone by partial replacement of chemicals within the hydroxy apatite, and that being a true fossilization because of the cross-linking and the stabilization of the collagen fibers within the bone matrix, and whether or not that could, like, whether or not it was full of crap, basically, to ask a
So-
real scientist.
Well, I have a bachelor's degree, but I am going into fossil prep. But so when it comes to the specific bone bed, sorry, I'm gonna turn the mic a bit. When it comes to the Liz Combe bone bed, the bones in the bone bed have been permineralized, as in they have been infiltrated by minerals and at least partially replaced by minerals.
Hmm.
There has been permineralization. They have been fossilized. Is there original material left? I don't know. I can't find any information on that. But at the same time, Price has no basis for claiming there is original material left either. He just says there is and moves on without substantiating
Right. But it's certainly possible that there is actually original material, that there is in fact even collagen within those bones, and that the bones can be fossilized and contain collagen at the same time
it. It is possible.
under certain conditions, right?
In the same way as it is possible to win a crossword and the Powerball in the same day. Yes. Like a crossword scratch off lottery ticket. It's the same as winning two different lotteries on the same day.
Right. But it's certainly like, so if we take the so the two scientists in question, they said that the bones were, one of them said the bones were unpermineralized. But what he meant by that was that the bones were not completely infiltrated, and that like it wasn't, completely rock, and that all of the interstitial spaces had been filled with rock.
Yes.
He meant that they had been permineralized in that some of the hydroxyapatite had undergone chemical changes, but that the interstitial spaces had not been filled. And if that's the case, then what that would suggest is that there probably is some heavily cross-linked collagen within that bone still extant.
It
And
does
it is
not
a rare
necessitate
but well-preserved fossil that maintains or preserves some of the internal structures, potentially even some of the internal soft tissue structures, like the shape of the bone marrow. But even
So-
still, that can occur, and it doesn't
I'm-
mean that it's not fossilized.
So I'm going to
Is
take
that
this.
accurate?
I'm going to take this bit by bit. So
Yeah.
you are right in that it really is. So permineralization, like colors, occurs on a spectrum. You have unpermineralized, which would be just cut off my arm, you have a bone. You have fully permineralized, where
That's
everything has
truly
been replaced by
unpermineralized.
minerals, and the cavities have been completely filled.
Mhm.
These fossils are at about the midpoint. A lot of the original material appears to have at least been altered, and there is some infill. However, I forget his name, but the one author does not like to say that fossils are permineralized until they're fully. Maury, thank you. He doesn't like to say they're permineralized until everything is filled in.
But that's a personal preference. The actual definition.
Yes, that's a personal preference. In the field, if there is alteration and some infill, it is permineralized.
I may have gone down a rabbit hole of anger.
Now, it is possible that some collagen has been preserved. However, even though these fossils have been exceptionally well preserved, that does not necessitate the collagen surviving. That is a different matter that requires specific conditions on its own. And there are easy tests you can do to see if there is collagen remaining. I just don't know if that has been done yet. But
Is
until
that
those
like the
tests are
licking
done,
test? Like the lick it test?
there's the lick it test, but
Do not lick it.
there is a very simple test where you scratch it really quickly or cut it with a saw. Do you know what Fritos are?
Isn't that a potato chip?
Yeah,
Corn chips.
Frito chips. It's very specific, but freshly ground up bone with freshly ground up collagen rather smells just like Fritos chips.
What the hell?
I don't know why, but it smells exactly like Fritos chips.
To most people.
Well, if we're gonna believe in conspiracies, then I think we have a new one right now.
Probably.
Dinosaur Fritos.
But anyway, it's a very simple test. It's a very pungent odor. It's very recognizable. So that can be done. I don't know if anything like that has been done. And until that is done, based on the extreme scarcity of collagen in dinosaur fossils that we're aware of, I would not feel comfortable saying there is collagen left in the bones. That is an inference Price made that requires further data to actually be said with confidence.
So then here's the question that Price would ask you. How is it that the bones maintain their shape if the collagen, how could the bones have maintained their shape
Honey.
if the collagen had decayed and they were not infilled with by way of permineralization, would the bones not have collapsed and become chalky? Because typically that's exactly what will happen.
I forget. Did you watch the stream that
Me?
where he presented that? You like the after bit, the open mic?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the stream. Remember, I was with you.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't remember. So yeah, he did ask that. So collagen is an important ingredient in bones, but it is not the only thing that gives them structure. The mineral component of the bones is just as important. And that component on its own can maintain the structure, even if it is replaced bit by bit, atom by atom by groundwater. The structure can remain. It just remains. It's much more brittle. It's much more easy to destroy,
Mm.
but it can survive. And there are many more, much more delicate minerals that have survived just as long as these bones, if not millions of years longer.
But it would be pretty unlikely for a bone to be robust enough to be handled as if it was a cow bone outside of its supporting bedrock if it didn't have any collagen in it, wouldn't it?
Except that we do have examples of bone where there is absolutely no collagen. Sorry, we do have examples of fossils where there is absolutely no collagen, and we can handle those just fine. If you go a few tens of millions of years older, if you go farther back in time with older fossils, there's progressively less and less collagen, even than in what these bones could have. And I have personally handled millions of years. Wow, words are not working. Point is, you can handle bones older than this with no collagen whatsoever, and we can be sure of this. And they
But
hold
those
up
are
just fine
particularly
as long as you're careful.
infill.
Like I
Those are
said,
particularly, or those are generally going to be ones that are completely permineralized and infilled, right? Not ones that have their soft like their interstitial spaces preserved. Ones like
generally,
that
yes.
with no collagen are going to be extremely delicate. Yes,
But
no?
with that said, we're assuming that the mineral makeup of the bone hasn't been altered at all. Which, in reality land, these bones
No,
have been altered. They
we know
have,
that
in
they
fact,
have.
been reinforced
We
with
know
iron
that they
core
have been
minerals.
altered because they're reddish. So we know they have been altered.
Yes, and they've
They've
been
experienced some
reinforced with
degree of
iron-bearing
permineralization.
minerals, which is something
Right.
the scientists who wrote the paper specifically called out.
Right. And that's going to typically, the only way that iron is going to reinforce a bone like that is by cross-linking collagen, right?
No, we have very old just iron minerals. Hematite can be billions of years old, and that's just iron and oxygen.
Sure. But that hematite's not going to be preserving fine structures like the spongiform, structure of a bone marrow, right?
No, it can. In fact, hematite can preserve even finer details.
So what you're telling me then is that the collagen, or is that it's entirely possible for this to be a permineralized bone, but there being very little collagen preserved, and it still has all of the fine structures. There may or may not be collagen in it. If there is, that's fine because you can explain that. And if there isn't, that's also fine. In fact, that's more likely, and you can explain that too.
When it comes to fossilization, the most important thing you have to understand is
Beamsy. Sorry. I am trying to work this out on my own because I know what he's doing.
sorry.
Okay. So it is possible that there are collagen remnants in the bone. However, even if there are collagen remnants, it is not necessary for the structural integrity of the bone for there to be any collagen remaining. So regardless of if there is collagen or if there is not, these bones have remained preserved in their rock for about 70 million years. However, if you wish to claim that there is collagen, then you need to substantiate that claim. Until then, you saying there's collagen means about as much as me saying there's a rabbit on the moon.
Who told you about Fluffy?
Ha! Cool. So what you're saying then is that the chances are pretty good that this is a dinosaur bone that is relatively well preserved, and it's remarkable in that sense. And beyond that, it's not particularly remarkable at all.
Until it is demonstrated otherwise, correct.
So then Paul Price is, for all intents and purposes, full of baloney.
Yes, and thank you for using a topic I'm passionate about as a way to exercise this.
Yeah. Well, I was actually not exercising. I guess partially I was, giving it work out there, but partially I just wanted I wanted the sound bites from you saying, yeah, no, this is something that we can explain, and it's not particularly earth shattering. None of the things that the scientists said are unusual, and science can explain everything that Paul, you seem to think there's a conspiracy about, and that's pretty much what I like when I read up on like the presentation he gave. I was like, so he's just taking this guy out of context and trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Then
Yes, that is the entirety of his presentation.
yeah, that's
Paul
pretty
likes to
much
do what a lot of creationists do and take a grain of truth and use it to seed a massive bullshit crystal.
Yeah, that was pretty much what I figured. Yeah. Do you hear he's doing another presentation in a week or two, something like that?
I did not know this.
Oh
What
yeah. Upright fossils.
Wait, is he doing the polystrat fossils?
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Is he doing it on Standing for Truth? Where is he doing it on?
Oh yeah. Standing for truth.
Can we use their acronym properly? It's not standing for truth, it's stupid fucking toddlers.
I'm not, unless I forgot how to read, I'm not seeing anything with Price.
Well, maybe it's not posted yet, but Standing has invited me specifically to show up, so I got it straight from the horse's mouth that he's got something coming up.
Beamsy, are we gonna have to crash the party?
I already had a play around with Kent in regards to polystrat fossils, and I won't be here, so
Well, you're gonna have maybe you're gonna have to shoot me your slide deck.
no, I had to explain to Kent the difference between a petrified tree, a polystrat, what is actually referred to as a polystrat, and what is a die cast.
So, you know, so what we've kind of been doing in this stream, I guess I would kind of call it a workshop, sort of.
Definitely.
I feel we should do another of these because, like, Beamsy, like, I know you know what polystrat fossils are and what they actually are. I feel your explanation could maybe use some work, and I think if we
Because I'm not a very
workshop
good science. I'm not a very good science communicator. I'm better at talking to people at my level what I'm talking about.
which I mean is fair. I'm better at that too. But like we can workshop like how to explain this maybe in a way that's less easy for them to finish.
I think that would be great.
Because
And
like
you know,
we, well, it's just like,
I
we know
can
what
certainly
the
give you a
poly.
perspective of what the lay understanding of polystrat fossils is, and what a normal person is going to struggle with understanding about them, and what's going to be effective and what's going to play with an audience and stuff like that. I can certainly give you that perspective,
Sure,
and
you
of
can
course how to
yell at us for
construct a
being
question
socially inept.
against a. I would never do that because I don't think you are, but. Yeah, I would hardly say that.
No,
You're socially.
the issue when it comes to what they represent as polystrata fossils, there's truly no such thing as a polystrata fossil. There is a cross-strata fossil. That's the closest thing you can do, and they're mostly things like
Well,
lycopods.
yeah, Beamsy, I feel we can go over that in the future. I'm saying this is something we should go over in the near
Yeah, we
future.
can do an upright fossils workshop, polystrata fossil workshop.
Sure. And do you have Discord?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, in the private chat, I'm just gonna put my username on Discord. Beamsy and I are in a group with some other anti-apologists, I guess you could say. We can add you to that, and I feel like you have a lot of good advice to share. Oh, he poofed.
Mr. Smith got hold of him.
Possible. I mean, if
I've been trying to avoid the Mr. Anderson joke the whole time.
I know you seem to have a problem.
I have many problems.
Oh, sorry, I just accidentally left because I went to Discord. I'm back. I'll do that in a second.
You're welcome back. Anyway, we're in a group with other counter apologists, you could say.
Unapologetics.
What was that?
Unapologetics.
Shit,
An
that
apology.
word.
Yeah. We should workshop that name too.
But like, yeah, Beamsy and I, I'm sure Beamsy would also be happy to like explain science, give you those sound bites, and whether the creationists
Oh yeah, no, that'd be great.
I
I have lots of questions, but especially like I'm always pestering like Dr. Dan and Dr. Zach Hancock, about like the genetic stuff because like I don't. Did you guys see my debate with Donnie on genetic entropy?
not yet, but I anticipate it
Oh
being painful.
It's worth
no, it's
watching,
my
but
favorite.
I was more referring to Donnie as painful, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my favorite one. It's
You
beautiful.
did very, very well.
It's yeah. Like it's very technical, right? And it's a very cordial debate, but like I've been hounding him to do round 2 on that for 3.5 or 4 months, and he won't. He says he will, but he's busy. And he will
It
remain
took me
busy.
3 months to get a debate partially set up with someone with Donnie, and then they didn't want to.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that it's kind of one of those things, right? But yeah, no, he's a little bit gun shy about debating me on genetic entropy again. So's Paul. It was a good debate.
Yeah, you did incredibly well with it.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
And-
Yeah, that was a good one.
Anyway, like I was trying to say, even if like Beamsy and I aren't an expert on something you're interested in, we both have a lot of experience going through papers and crap, so we can at least help find sources and stuff.
Oh, sure, that'd be great. Do you guys know anything about ARGs? Ancestral recombination graphs?
That would be
Not
Grayson
really.
and Mark.
Yep.
What's that?
That would be a couple other members of our group who are better with that.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to get my head around those. That's a tough one.
Yeah, Grayson and
see.
Mark would be the one to talk to about that. They really go into depth about that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Mark Reed, he loves to go into technology and genetics and stuff. And Grayson has a degree in biochem, actually.
Oh
And
really?
he's really interested in genetics as far as I know. But
Yeah, no, Grayson's pretty cool. I like that guy. I haven't really interacted with him, but I've seen him work. And he definitely knows his physics. That's for sure. Like when I hear him talk about space, I'm like, man, that guy knows his space.
yeah, I feel bad. Earlier, Andrew was on and he offered to explain stuff about the Big Bang to me, and I had to admit it's not a topic I'm super interested in, and I felt bad for turning him down. But like, there's some topics people don't find interesting. The Big Bang is one of them for me, which I don't know, might be a bit weird because I'm normally such a curious science person, but eh.
What are you gonna do, right? Yeah, no, the Big Bang. I like the Big Bang. The Big Bang's pretty cool.
And it's just me now. I've got the Team Rocket thing working in my head to change that to that wording.
Oh, has T Rock been nitpicking the term Big Bang?
No, Dino and Beamsy, Team Rockhammer motto: "Have Rockhammer, will travel."
Ah, I see.
So now I've got the Team Rocket thing going through my head, and now I'm rewording it in my head. And no, behave, and it's just not working.
I mean, cheesy as it is, I like to just say rock on.
I'm more of rock off, but that's because I like things off. But I'm going back to my naughty corner.
Yeah, you think about what you've done.
He thinks about it a lot. That's what's concerning.
Yeah, you know what's a shame. I had all these like comeback lines for future debates with Kent, and I didn't get to use any of them. All these little things because he has he's very predictable. Some of the different things he says, right?
Yeah. And yeah, for my first debate with him, like it was my first actual debate ever, I think. And I
Yeah.
was kind of nervous. But like Mark and Ember and other people just kept saying, "Oh no, you'll do great. Kent's basically just a punching bag." But like my worry is, like I said earlier, I want to teach the audience not to be scared of science. And that's a bit harder than just making an old man look like an idiot. And that's why I do research on like how to be a more effective speaker. And the actual topics whenever I do debates, I research a lot because I like to teach people.
Yeah. You know what? I think that there might be a way for you to really lean into that side of things.
Hmm.
And I often say, like, I'm at my most dangerous to my opponents when I'm at my most empathetic. And you could probably really lean into that sort of, every time uh, he says something, you know, every time he tries to weaponize his ignorance, and every time he, tries to, feign incredulity, and like, well, that's just silly. You could be like, that's your trigger for you to say, I mean, I think maybe it's, hopefully it's not too late even for you, that if you have an open mind, you don't have to, say goodbye to your religion. You just have to, um, be able to, open up your mind enough to to appreciate the evidence and the beauty of the theories, and the wonders of God, and His natural world, and in the entire world, God is crying out to tell you about it. All you have to do is open your eyes, and I'm just here to open the book and let you read it for yourself. And you just kind of like, every time he does that, you have like you can even make up like some canned lines, that uh, every time he pulls one of those stunts, you just pull that out, and you just kind of slather it on, and it's like, it's difficult for him to get mad at you. It will drive him nuts, but at the same time, it's very difficult for him to get mad at you about it because you're being nice.
Hmm. I think I can come up with a few things, but I need to devote some thought to it.
That's just an idea. Yeah.
But I mean, funny enough, what you just said there about like like God is trying to reach you with the world. That is an angle I have tried before. And from what I've heard, well, actually, from what I've heard from a lot of Christians, is that made them stop and think if it's put in a good way.
Yeah.
Because God revealed a truth to a group of people in a part of the world at a time. But the world around us is here now. It was there then, even if we couldn't understand it. As you grow up, you start to understand the world around you. I think humanity might have grown up a little in 2,000 years, so maybe we should open our eyes.
Yeah, I think that's not bad. I like the idea of of saying, like, look, so yes, there's a book of things that God told other people, but open your eyes and look around you and see what God is trying to tell you
Mhm.
Himself. You know, take it from His own lips. He's crying out. He's trying to tell you how He did these amazing things. He's trying to allow you and facilitate you to give Him the glory that He deserves. He's trying to show you the beauty of His creation. But all you can manage to think about is whether or not it comports with this book that you're not even sure, you know, represents the Word of God. Like, maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. But you know what definitely does? Life. So
I
just,
feel
you know,
I
go
feel
ahead.
this might be good for good to dive into either in a closing statement or towards the end of my opening. Maybe more the closing statement because I don't want to debate Kent on theology. I just don't. But I
Well, I think
feel
you
I
could
can
probably
find
lay some throwaway lines there, right?
And
yeah, but
you
like,
know, when if
what
he
I'm trying to
starts to
say,
if he starts to like dig into it and be like, well, you know, da 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 da, you know, you just say, like, you know, look, I'm not, you know, I'm not talking about, you know, sorry I brought it up, right? It's just, you know, look, once again, I'm not saying the Bible's wrong. I'm just saying you're wrong,
maybe
right?
I don't have to be right about every detail, but that doesn't mean I'm entirely wrong. That might be ceding a bit too much ground.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much. Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I was just thinking towards the end of the opening or the ending statements, like, I'm sure I could find a lot of well-respected church leaders who have said something similar to the effect of what we were saying a minute ago, with the natural world being God revealing the truth to people. I'm sure I can find a lot more than Kent Hovind in Lenox, Alabama.
Yeah. I bet you could. Yeah, you could take some inspiration from a lot of different writers who I'm sure have expressed those thoughts in ways more eloquent than you and I ever could. But, you know, by the same token, don't shortchange yourself. You know,
I just
sometimes speaking from the heart is worthwhile.
true, but I could do both. And Beamsy, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're
Didn't
wrong.
Lyle say that he was studying geology to better understand the world God created? Didn't he
Yeah.
specifically say something like that?
Yeah, that's actually what started him going into geology. He wanted
And
to.
yet,
They wanted to use geology to prove the flood, but that's not what he found.
Kent always says Lyle hated the Bible. Like that is something that does get to me a bit, because like, I am not a Christian. I used to be. I'm not anymore. But I do respect that people have their beliefs, and I support their right to have their beliefs as long as they don't harm others. But when I hate it when people try to weaponize faith, either theirs to achieve a cause or weaponize the faith of someone else and like attack them for that. Like, there are a few people like Lyle was one. Like Ken will just say, "Oh, he hated God. He wasn't a Christian." No, he was a devout Christian, as far as I know, to the end of his days. Same for modern like paleontologists like Mary Schweitzer, devout Christian, outspoken about it, and creationists like Kent will just say, "Oh, she was forced to lie." Like,
Mm.
she's not
But maybe, you
actually
know,
over.
maybe that's true, Ken. But also maybe she just doesn't agree with you.
Yeah,
Like people can actually understand God, and they can love the world, and they can love God, and they can disagree with you. It's possible. You might
I
be wrong.
I don't know if his megalomania can take that.
Well, that's even better,
Fair.
right? Like saying it and saying it very nicely drive him nuts.
I feel you could be dangerous.
I am dangerous. You ever read uh uh Chronicles of Narnia?
No, but I have. Well, I'm familiar with Phoenix Wright. I know what lawyers
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah, there's a line in I just read it with my daughter. She's 6. And there's a line in there. They're talking about there's a character in that book, and it's a line.
It's a lion. Aslan's the name of the lion. The Lion, the Witch, and the
Yeah.
Wardrobe, right? And they don't know he's a lion yet, and they're talking, or no, they just find out he's a lion. They're like, he's a lion. Is he safe? And the character goes, safe? Of course he's not safe, but he's good.
I
That's
I
kind
have
of
not
that's kind of how I look at things.
read them, but that it's a fun phrase.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for tonight, though, I think I am gonna have to call it because
Oh man, you made it an hour longer than I expected you to.
oh yeah, I said we were gonna shut down an hour ago.
Yeah, I'm very fun.
You seem to be so far, but that's how these streams usually go.
Oh yes, I'm super amusing. People like me. I'm modest too.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Do you have a channel or anything I can shout out? I guess.
You know, I really should start one, but I don't have any. I have 2 subscribers. I don't have any videos though.
And I can guarantee one of them is Titan, and he's already modded.
Probably. If you don't know Titan Uranus, he is the mod for everyone.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I've
You'll
modded anybody, but I thought it was extremely amusing that I don't have any videos, but I do have 2 subscribers. So
I mean, like, you have the right to like upload your debates, and that'll give people a
I
place
probably
to
should, yeah.
that'll give people a place to watch your debates without, like giving SFT a view if you don't want him to have a view for any ideological reason.
Right. Yeah.
Or like I don't know if you've seen my debate with Dave and McQueen, but
You debated that guy. Oh man.
yeah, I have a wholly unedited copy of that stream. Entirely because of a comment the moderator made.
So
He made a domestic abuse joke at the tail end of the debate. It's on my channel if you want to see it. McQueen is aggravating, and he's aggravating. I think I got him on a few points, but yeah,
I don't doubt
that
it.
was towards the end.
I don't doubt it. You are not unskilled.
Debatable. but oh, yep, there's Titan. There's frickin' Titan. Speak and he shall appear. But
Yeah,
But you're not one of
unfortunately
my
for me.
subscribers yet, though. That's the thing, right?
what's your what's your handle?
It's Mr. Anderson something. Right?
Mr. Anderson Rocks 2023?
Nope, that's not it. It's like Mr.
Oh,
Anderson
period?
and then just like some letters or something.
Did I don't three no that there's one with 4 subscribers. Dad Fuel 375 372. 9938. I don't. I'm trying to link you. Damn it. Oh, he's gone. We'll find his channel someday. Oh dear. Actually, he might be going to try and find it right now. So give him a second.
It's an easy way to do it. You just go to Standing for Truth.
Oh, you think he's linked on Standing for Truth?
No, you go to have to do it. Go for
For
his lives and check for his latest little interactions.
yeah, he was on last night. Oh, you're back.
Mr. Anderson dash OL8QL.
Dash OLAQL.
The number 8.
HQL. Not popping up. Is there a period between Mr. Anderson? Or
I don't know.
Yeah, if you just type in the side chat in YouTube, it's the easiest way to find you.
if he can hear us. Yeah, that would pop you right up. I'm not sure if I'm excited for that, or excited or dreading that Joe Hubbard and Mackay thing. Honestly, just to talk about a completely separate thing that popped up.
Hang on.
Or if you just say something in the side chat.
What's that?
Or, okay, there's a link. We have a link. Hey, you have 3 subscribers. Here you go, folks. Go subscribe to Mr. Anderson. This has been an interesting little saga. It's fine. We got you.
I don't know what I'm doing. How many? I have 3 subscribers now. How did that happen?
I don't know. Maybe someone. Oh, now you have 5. Hey, people listened when I said go sub. We'll get you, man. We'll get you. But I don't know. Donnie, I think, usually has the recorded versions of the debates. If you don't want to just like rip the video, you can probably just ask him and he can send you a copy of your debates. It'd be good to have them separately, at least just in case SFT gets deleted, which can happen.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true. Yeah, I could. I'm sure I could do some. I don't know how to edit videos or anything, right? I just know how to yell at people.
We can give you a hand. We can give you a hand. But excuse me. Oh, yawn. Ugh. At any rate, fun shenanigans there, but have a good night, everyone, for real. Thank
All
you
right,
for
you
joining
too.
us.
See you guys.
And thank you,
That's
Beans,
Fernando.
Mr. Anderson, and people.
Oh,
See you
my
soon.
pleasure. We'll talk.